Well, hey.
Good evening. How y'all doing today?
Hey, everyone. It's Mr. Ed here.
Hello, Mr. Ed here.
How's it going?
Well, let me tell you, it's 7:05, and my eyelids, I'm gonna have to put some toothpicks on them to keep them from falling down on you guys.
Well, hopefully we don't bore you too much. Joseph
Oh
Ross.
no, at least the bee talk stimulates, keeps me a little bit awake. But I'm tired. We got so much. Look at Joey Rouse. Hey Joey, I like your comment on that last one. I can't remember what it was, but I responded to it. I can't remember what I told you. But we got so much work at the caskets right now. We got a couple more machines in there, and I'm redoing. I just about finished one of them. I got to start on the next one, and it's all for production stuff. And so between that and the backlog, all of our moldings, which is what I do, I haven't been doing that. So today we got our shipment of wood, $11,000 worth of wood, and it was. I mean, it's a lot of wood. It's a lot of wood, but it was all oak, cypress, and mahogany, and different widths, and all that's to run into moldings, and that's really what I do. So the next 4 days, I'll be running molding in there.
Well, you make all your bee
inlays.
They're molding machines. They call them molders, 4-headed molders. And so you put profile knives in there, and it cuts the shape, the edges, the patterns on the moldings. Mac ate their bees.
So, hey, we were just talking about this. So
yeah. Oh, no, that's really the story. That's why I was when you told me if I wanted to go on, I wanted to tell you the story because I tried to go out there today to go live, and I couldn't get that hotspot to work. I'm not a technical guy. If somebody ain't there show me how to do it, I can make phone calls. Okay, I can do that with my phone.
So
you're gonna have to get a good time, Charlie, to give you a training lesson. Huh?
No, Charlie, I'm even a little bit more ahead of Charlie when it comes to, but look, we're a pair. That's why we get along so good together, because we're both nimwits.
So I'll tell you what, I was outside. Well, you guys know I got a heart monitor on right now. I haven't been feeling very well. The heat and air guy was there trying to fix my heater, and I'm getting it. I started looking at my phone, and I'm like, for some reason, I didn't have you saved in my phone, and I think it's because you got my number from Randy, right?
Yes.
And I was like, man, well, that looks like Mr. Ed. I said, is somebody messing with me right now? You know, I thought somebody was messing with me, so that's why I said, is that my lure? And all of a sudden, my phone starts ringing, and I answer it, and it's Mr. Ed on the phone. So it was like, he's like, yeah, and I'm going to let you tell what happened, because in the video, it's halfway in the video that's coming out Friday, right? That you posted up. So I'm going to let you explain what happened.
The deal is, I want to tell the whole story, because the whole story, what is it how this whole thing is played out in that one of the gals in our club, she asked me if she could buy some bees from me because hers had died out. So I said, sure. I got some cutouts that we've had since October, September, and I've been feeding these things. They're in great shape. And I said, well, yeah, well, I'll let you get those. And so I went in there. I popped the lid, and that's the one thing. I don't go into my bees. I just don't do it. They just on their own. And I popped the lid, and I saw like is 5 or 6 frames of bees just when I popped the lid. And this is on a cutout, and you know I'm saying, well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good amount of bees on there. And then when I started pulling frames out, 4 of those frames had brood on it. The pattern wasn't a big pattern, but you know, it was probably like softball size pattern, but it was solid. and that was on 4 frames were like that. So I mean, she's in there, she's laying good.
Right.
And so I was really kind of like surprised to see that pattern and that amount of bees, and really with it, not that a lot of bees. And so the first thing I did was I called up world famous Mike Barry, and I told him, I said, Mike, I said, you been in your boxes, because I got a feeling we're gonna have an early swarm season. These bees are for, I mean, because this was like February the 1st, or it might have even been January 31st, you know. And so I mean that's early. That's early. And to have that development already in there, it made me make notice. And so he first thing he tells me when I told him that I went into my boxes, he said, "You went into your boxes?" Because he knows I don't do that. And I said, "Yeah, well, I had to, because I was transferring frames. That's the only reason that I went in there, was because I was moving the frames from my box into her box. And that's how I sell my bees. You give me your equipment, I transfer everything into your box, and then I
Right.
keep my equipment." And so that's how I found out about that. And when after I saw that, and I told him, I said, I really think we're going to have an early swarm season this year. Now, 2 years ago, I caught my first swarm on February 3rd, and I'm thinking, well, man, we're gonna be in that same scenario, that same pattern as that. And that's what I was telling Mike. And Mike said, "Man, I am not ready to catch no swarms. I got too much other stuff to do. I can't do. He's all nervous now." And so that was on a either Thursday or Friday. I don't remember. And it must have been a Thursday or Friday. So anyway, the next day he calls me, and he said, "Ed," he says, "I opened up 2 of mine, and one of them, they all had brood in, nice brood. One of them had buku drone brood in it, and then the other one had the beginnings of cups in there." And he says, I got to set traps now. I got to go set traps. And that's what I was getting ready to do anyway. So yes, that was on Friday. So it was Thursday that I called him. Friday he called me, and Saturday I was in the shop building the traps for the Layens Hive, and that's how all that transpired. So what I decided to do was to make a video on how I how I bait boxes, and what I use to bait trap boxes. That's what the video was, and then going to set the traps, that part. And so that was what the video was. So I did that. I wanted to go set the traps and do the video on Saturday, but I'm getting old, and I don't work as fast as I used to, and so I never finished the boxes. So what happened was that Sunday morning I went up there, and after prayer and mass, I finished the boxes, about an hour's worth of work, and then I went and shot the video on what I was going to do, and then I went and I set the traps. So that was on Sunday, and in the video, the thumbnail of the video, I'm holding up Bob's Swarm Rustler right there. That's the product, and because all I've ever used was lemongrass oil. That's all I've ever used, and it's worked fine for me. Of course, you know, in the video, I ain't gonna say what I say in the video, but in the video, I talk about all the other aspects of bait and traps and what you use and stuff. And so I got the Swarm Rustler, and I said, well, this year we're gonna try the Swarm Rustler. And so I read the instructions on it. It says like 1 squirt on top of the frames and 1 squirt on the entrance. Yeah, you got that stuff right there.
It
That's it.
says
That's the good
1
stuff.
shot to the top of the frames, 1 shot to the entrance, reapply after 2 weeks as needed.
Right. So since I never do follow instructions real well. So what I did was I did 3 or 4 shots on the top of the frames, but it comes out real misty, and the wind kind of blew it away because I should have just been right on top of it, and it kind of blew it out. I said, oh man, so I put 3 or 4 more on there, but I got down lower this time to make sure it went inside the box. And then on the entrance, I put 3 or 4 sprays on the entrance. So I set all my traps like
You
that.
overkilled.
Oh yeah. Look, if a little work, a lot more is gonna work better. That's the old way of thinking, you know. So I baited those things up. Now on Monday, Charlie and I went out to our yards, and we were pulling dead outs. That's what we did Monday. We probably pulled 15 dead outs, but they were there. Most of them were dead outs from September and October because those had wax moth in it, and probably about 4, maybe 5 of them were recent. 2 of them were slime outs from beetles, but they were still good comb in there. So I separate ones that have wax moth and the ones that good comb. I let the bees rob out everything else, and then those I'll be using either as brood boxes, you know, coming up, or they'll be going into swarm traps. One of the two. More likely, they're going to go into traps because that smell that you got right there. Whew, that might even be better than Swarm Rustler.
You thought a Swarm Rustler better than the Swarm Commander, maybe?
Mine is well, I never used Swarm Commander.
Oh, you just use it,
I never use it. But so what happened on Monday? That location where I placed them, it was on the way back to the Abbey for me and Charlie. I said, Charlie, let's go. Let me run by. I want to show you the boxes that I built. And so it was I remember it was 1:30 because we just finished eating lunch. It was 1:30. We pull up, and I'll be a son of a gun. The first box right in the corner, boom, there's a swarm had moved into it. And I'm like beside myself. What? I don't believe I put these out yesterday. I mean, it was literally 24 hours, that I'm telling you. And so we park the car, get out, and you know, like my mouth is hanging down, and I'm like, wow, I'm just totally disbelieving it. And then I look in the back of the house where I've got another trap set, and there's bees around that trap. And I said, what? And I went back, and sure enough, that box caught a swarm too.
2 swarms on the same property.
Well, that's not unusual for that piece of property, but for this time of year, I would say that's highly unusual. And then, so of course, we call world famous Mike Barry to. Well, actually, the first thing I did was I went FaceTime with the Dirt Rooster to let him know that I've already got 2 swarms on him for this year. and because he and I, the way we do it is to confirm a catch, you got to put your face right next to the swarm, and that's the only way that it's a legitimate count. So
make sure you're not downloading pictures off Google.
Well, now he could do a Photoshop like that, but I wouldn't know how to do it. So I got Randy on the phone, and I'm showing him the bees, and he's like, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" And I said, "Dude, it's I can't believe it either."
Well, Randy must be taking it serious because he ordered two cases of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, well, that's what I told him. I said, look, that Swarm Rustler stuff, you got to put that on. You got to use it. So that's so. After I called Randy, we called world famous Mike Barry, and Mike tells me, he says, "Well, Jeff, you think about it. You set those boxes. That was on the 4th of February. That was on the 4th of February that I set those boxes." And he said, "In truth, those bees were probably hanging in a tree already somewhere for a day or two already." They'd already left the hive. So they may have left the hive, January 31st or February 1st. So it's.
But they got on it and checked it out quick then, even if they were in a tree.
So exactly. So when I was there, and I do actually show this on the video, on the box, one of those boxes that the bees moved into, 2 scouts were there and went into the box, and I shot that on the video right when I set the traps.
Well, so we do see some bees checking out the lure.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's not unusual when you set a trap, they have scouts come up. That's, you know, I didn't think anything of it. You know, that to me, that's normal. But it's what's not normal is the very next day at this time of year to have not 1 but 2 swarms moving into a trap.
Well, I was excited. I thought somebody was messing with me because I didn't have you in the phone, and I'm like, wait a minute, somebody's messing with me now. So I was like, with my lure, and all of a sudden, then the phone rings and it's you, and it's like, yeah, man, I used it. It worked. So Mike Berry's got some.
And Charlie's got some. Charlie set his traps yesterday too, and he texted me this evening. He said he's got lookers at it right now.
Right.
So
I've got 2 out right now with a swarm rustler in it, and I'm getting little scouts checking it out anyway. But I just set them out. I think it was either Sunday or Monday. I set those out.
Yeah, I mean, I would strongly recommend, particularly people living, you know, in the southeastern part of the United States, man, get your traps out now. Get them out now, and because it's always, to me, to be able to catch those early swarms. They always are the best ones because that's your old queen, and she's ready to start laying. There's no build-up time. I mean, these bees, the swarms, the first swarms, the primary swarms, when they come out,
they're the biggest ones.
Those are the ones you want because generally they're larger and they have the old queen from the previous hive, and she is ready to lay. And I mean, it's not unusual to get honey off of these bees that same year. I mean, I love the primary swarms early, and being that it is early, you have all this time for the bees to build up before our nectar flow comes on. And that's really the trick of getting honey, is to have the number of bees in your hive when that flow happens. And if you have that combination, it's almost a guarantee you're going to get that surplus of honey.
Well, at this point, I've bottled so much lure today that any swarms might land on my house.
I believe it. Yeah, you got to. And so, well, the thing you got going, since your heater's not working, that at least you don't have that heat adding to the pheromone spreading out, huh?
Well, it was funny because this past week I was out in the yard and it was warm enough for the bees to fly. So I had hitchhikers on my bee suit when I came inside. And my wife, when I first started doing the swarm lure, I was using a turkey baster, a plastic turkey baster to fill the bottles up, right? Because I was only doing a small amount. And I rinsed it out and put it on the counter. And my wife came in here with the turkey baster. She said there was like 5 bees on this turkey baster in the kitchen. Of the whole house, they went right to the turkey baster and landed on it. I'm like, well, maybe we got something then. And when a couple days later, I'm getting your message. So I was pretty stoked about it. Matter of fact, I think everybody that I have a phone number from the chat got a text message with the clip that you sent me.
Oh,
and,
good.
I got it.
And so, yeah, they were pretty. It was. I'm excited. So
I don't know if you saw Cayman's video about his honey processing, his carousel thing. Is it? That real high dollar one that he got.
The Winty one.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about maybe you ought to invest in one of those for your swarm rustler, huh?
Well, funny you should say that.
He has a filling line.
yeah, I do have the fill-in line.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not as high dollar as Cayman Reynolds is.
Yeah, I know that guy. He's like cheap.
But at the show, I did buy
what?
I did buy the automatic filler that they had down there with the scale where you set the jar on it and it pumps the honey into the jar. I did buy that when I was there.
Wow.
And it's still in the box.
You must have some money.
Well, this one, I think Cayman's was like $5,000 or $6,000. Mine was like $1,500. So there's definitely economic difference there, right? But but hey, I got one.
Nice. What's the manufacturer? Spinter? What is it?
Swinty is the one that Cayman's got. This one I got from Bailey Bee Supply.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the budget version. But I don't have thousands of bottles to do yet. So hopefully, I mean, I've got big extractor and all that stuff, but I got to get the bees to fill it up for me.
I bought a pneumatic filler.
I've got one,
and I'm telling you that I've only used it for 2 years because it's so like production. You can't keep up with this machine, and it fills the bottle so fast and so precisely. But the problem that I have with it is unless you do like 800 or 900 bottles, it's not even worth it to get it going because the cleanup,
then you got to clean it all back up.
Yeah, it's just and so for my operation, it's just almost better just to put it in a warmer, a bottler, and as I need the 14. Mine's only a 15-gallon bottler, and as the gift shop needs the honey, I fill up 15 gallons worth and bring it over there, and that way it's always liquid. It's always liquid. And I've got
other one, 18-gallon bottling tank it's a licensed bottling tank, but I've got the pneumatic air valve that runs off a compressor, and you just step on a pedal. You know how you use the lever to open the valve? This one, you step on a pedal, it opens the valve. It gives you both hands. And when you let off the foot pedal, it stops pumping. You just screw it. You can just keep.
Oh, man, that's nice.
So that valve, I think what's the one drip valve? Leave like $200 now?
It's running about 200 right now. That's what I'm using.
And the pneumatic valve that I got from Better Bee is like $234.
So how does it do as far as dripless?
It's not bad. I mean, you still always get that last one, but I find if I take the jar and once I let off the pedal, if I just scrape the jar across the valve,
right.
It stays in.
That's what I do the same thing with mine.
That's what I have to do with one drip. Now, Bob, you were saying it was right around 400, like everything else. It's went up too. You're looking at 493 now.
It went up $60 since I got it.
Wow.
So you just take off your the little gate valve that's on there, and it bolts right on. My wife said,
you got some talent with knowing how to do all that stuff, throwing that stuff up on the screen, dude. You're gonna have to show me how to do that.
Yeah, I got 3 separate monitors, so I'm pulling stuff from each one and bringing in to the lab.
See, look, I'm lucky I can look at one thing at a time. I don't know how y'all do that.
Well, you just need to hire you a Lee, and then you're good to go. Lee's popular on these streams. I was about
to say, my hourly rate's real cheap.
Is it?
It's like $3.99.
Wow, man. Do you take honey?
Yep.
Honey and trade.
We'll work for honey.
But let's see. Do we have any questions? Bob is loaded. No, Bob is not loaded. For sure.
Yeah, Bob, how come I don't see no questions popping up?
That's Lee does that all the time. And thanks, Fox Plus, for the super chat. I missed that.
Oh, look at you, man.
Yeah, it's not doing me any good being in the box. That's true. I don't have much need for it right now. And the thing is, because I've got that other valve, I don't really need that one. I mean, it's good that it'd be precise with the jar weighing and everything, so it'll be consistent. I probably only have to, I don't know, probably do 20,000 jars for it to pay itself off in the amount that I'll save between each filling. But it's yeah, I could rent it out. Matter of fact, I've got obviously I don't have the stuff that you guys have at the Abbey. I wish I had that stuff, but I've got a 30 frame Lyson extractor. Lee and I have the same unbottling. There it is again.
Unbottling,
uncapping tank, and the same. We got the steam uncapper, but it's a tabletop steam uncapper. So where you have, I think you guys are using the chain uncapper at that.
We have that Dakota Gunness.
That's the uncapping tank, but the it's like 1,500 millimeters, and then we have the stainless, the steam manual uncapper. So you lay your frame down on it, and you slide it, and it slices the bottom off, and then you flip it over.
You don't have very many cappings come off of it.
No, you get sheet. It comes off in sheets, and then it goes down an uncapping tank and just.
Yeah, it's got screens in the bottom of the uncapping tank. Once it drops in, then any honey just runs through the screen and then out a valve in the end.
So it's faster than an uncapping knife. So that, but it's not.
So how many frames do you run through that machine when you doing honey?
On the table?
Yeah.
That table will hold what, Lee, with the uncapper on it?
I'm trying to remember.
I want to
say right around 20, 25 with the uncapper, but that uncapper takes up a lot of the room.
Right.
But generally, I'll uncap a box, and then if I can get Renee to come out there with me as I'm uncapping, I'll get her to put in the extractor.
So, when you extract, do you extract 30 boxes at a time, or what are you doing?
Generally, I'm doing maybe 5 or 10 at a time, something like that. Which I'm only running a 20 frame extractor right now. So I'll turn the extractor on. I'll walk outside, take a break while that's spinning, come back and do a little bit more.
Oh, Castleton broke his rule. He ordered 8 queens. So that means #Brian20. There it is. So it did come up. He'll be #Brian19.
I'm still saying 24 plus.
So he broke his own rule. He said
he's saying he's going with 15 colonies, but he said he's also doing that nuke yard. Those count as colonies.
Yep, those are beehives. #Brian24. There you go. But we've been giving Brian at Castle Hives the what for almost a year now. He keeps saying, I'm just going to stay at 10, 11. And he got up to 11, and now he just ordered 8 queens. So that takes him to 19.
He went into winter with 11, and he's coming out of winter with 11.
They don't count once they're sold, he says. That is true. Well, I'll tell you what. We can actually.
But Brian, until they're sold, they do count.
Right.
They don't count until they're sold.
Let's see. All right, I'm going to throw out a link here and see if we get anybody to bite that wants to come in and join our chat with us. And
why would they want to do that?
So they can harass you. They don't want to talk to us. They're only here to see you. You don't think we got 97 people watching right now to see me or Lee, do you? They're here to see you.
You're right.
Well, when we were live from the Hive Life, I think we only had look. See, there he is right away.
Yeah.
Boom, clout chasing. Bam, Minnesota Mike.
Hey, one of my brothers in the Lord is on. I gotta come and dance.
How you doing, Mike?
Just fine. Hey, what are you running for a molder?
We actually have three molders. We have
Of course you do.
a Baker, a four-headed Baker, a four-headed XL, which is about a 1930 model, and then we just got it's an Italian one. I don't know the make of it, and that's the one I'm working on right now. So
Okay.
one of them is a 2-inch, one's a 6-inch, and the other one is about a 8-inch.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look,
it's all
forehead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just had to get that. You're building coffins, and then I work as a volunteer digging graves over here on the other side of the lake. And I'm not. It's an honor. Yeah, it's an honor. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thanks, guys. I have no idea how to turn the microphone down. I just need to be quieter.
So Ed's got a 4-header, and it looks like Mike's got a 10-header.
I got a dirt rooster header.
I've got the perfect mix of beeswax polishers.
Do you mix anything with the wax? Anything to?
As a matter of yeah, diesel.
There you go, Bob.
There's Mr. Ed with the rooster.
Wow. So,
Chris, what's up, Chris?
Bugs here.
How you guys doing?
Mike.
Pretty good.
Fine.
See, look, everybody gets to hang out with Mr. Ed tonight, so you guys need to ask him questions and talk to him.
If you want.
So, Mr. Ed, how many hives are you running right now?
I don't know the number yet. I'll know the number at the end of next week when I finish. I really don't know. It's somewhere between 120 and 150, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number yet because I really do want to find out how many we have going into the spring.
Right.
And because that way I can plan on how much equipment I need to because when I do make my splits, and say if we have 120 hives, I'll probably be able to split 80 of them out of that 120. So I just need to have enough equipment to be able to do that, and then add my honey supers later on. So that's what I've got, the nasty job right now of cleaning up all of my supers, and I've got to go through them. And I'll have 3 or 4 Charlie, and I got a couple other guys that'll help me. And it'll probably take us 2 or 3 days to clean up our supers, and I stack all that stuff up. All of our stuff I stack up, and that way when we go out into the field, we just grab equipment and throw it in the van. For us, it's a system that works, and we've been doing it now probably about 6 or 7 years. So we've pretty much refined that process of how we go about preparing to make our splits and then doing the splits themselves. And since we have like 10 out yards, and we never can visit more than probably, if we're lucky, we get 3 of them a day. But you constantly revisiting, because the way I do my splits, my favorite way is using the swarm cells. And it's a very risky way of doing it. I don't recommend anybody doing that, but I like doing it because I like the high anxiety that it gives me.
You like cutting the bottom of the frames.
Yeah, it's like, and so like when you lift up that one box and you see 10 swarm cells under there, man, you put a big old smile there because, man, that's
gold mine
right there.
Hey guys, I got to share this with you because in light of my hack, I do some investigation, right? So I got this email just now, and I have to share it with you guys. And it's very unusual. Oh, hold on. Let me just share that screen. This one. So it is Can you even see that? It says this is an
Not
invitation
really.
to appear on the home shopping television show. HSM Shopping. HSM Spring Fling Sweet and Delicious block of the show. Show will be taping on February 27 and will air 5 times during the months of April and May. The show has reached to approximately 30 million U.S. households and broadcasts on television nationally, regionally, and also airs on our HSM Shopping Roku channel. I am contacting you because we are interested in potentially featuring your company on the show and would like to extend the invitation of a guest spot. The format of this broadcast is designed to feature amazing products and gift ideas for purchase that are trending for 2023. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. It says, we feel your honey products would resonate well with our viewers for the holidays and beyond. There are no back-end percentages of your sales taken from being featured as a guest, and no requirement of mass inventory shipped in advance or excessive hidden costs. If you are interested, please reach back out to me via email or call me to discuss further. I enjoyed previewing your site and look forward to hearing from you.
You better start bottling some swarm rustler.
Well, yeah, the thing is that it's got a phone number there to call. So
Well, call Bob.
I might give it a. Should we do it
Call
live?
him right now, Bob. Call him right now. We all want to know now.
Hey, well, they just called me, right?
Hey,
Oh, it
Matt,
was 19
Matt said just click that link again, Bob.
There is no link. That's the whole thing.
Look, Bob, when you call, use Lee's telephone, though, okay?
Oh no.
I'll call him.
Yeah, I'll give you Mike's number.
Everybody else does. Go ahead.
Oh, but they are a legit website. So I haven't watched them on Roku, but that's kind of interesting. Even though there's no way in heck that I would have enough honey or honey products
Yeah, honey product.
to and first
Supply
of
the
all,
world.
what website did she see honey products on? Because my website doesn't have honey products on it, unless she's on my Etsy, and there's not enough honey on there. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's
Oh,
see.
it really is.
It is.
So, Brian, I need you to send me every bit of your creamed honey. We'll sell it on the HSM Shopping Network on Roku.
I hadn't heard of the HSM. I've heard of HSN.
Right, and that's why I Googled it, and it popped up, but it is like a Roku channel on Roku.
Did you do any? But Bob, did you by any chance do a search on that woman's name in association with that?
No, we'll do that now.
Yeah, it's a good idea, Mike.
Yeah,
Say,
I'll check all up again.
Jeff, a friend of ours, Russell's got a question here. Do you ever run nukes during the winter?
What do you mean run nukes?
Nucleus hives? Sorry.
I still don't understand what the question is.
You
ever
like 5 from
actually-
Dukes?
Yeah, it's just get a 5-frame nuke going, and then just come spring graduate to a 10-frame.
Oh yeah, because I'll break hives that aren't big enough for a 10-frame. I'll throw them into a 5-frame because I don't want to give them all that space.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing it, and those I keep right in the back of the honey house where I'm at, so I can go look at those things. Because you got to be really careful in the spring because those things they explode on you, and you have to stay ahead of them. But I like that idea of keeping the bees limiting their space, and because if for some reason they do better, I think they do better, and then give them the space. Like once they fill 3-4 frames, boom, throw them into the 10-frame at that point. And when I do that, I'll usually throw in honey frames too on the outside when I transfer them out.
Yeah, if they're too small of a colony to start with and you put them into a 10-frame box, they can't defend all that area. They can't keep all that area warm. So, I mean, it kind of hinders them versus breaking them down to a 5 frame, and they're easier to work with.
But I don't really fool with nukes. I really don't. I mean, I've got probably about 20 5-frame boxes that I'll use when I need them, and then or if I catch one of those dirt rooster swarms that won't fit in a 10-frame, I'll throw them in a 5-frame.
That's funny.
Oh goodness me! So all of your splits go into 10 frames?
All the splits go into a 10-frame. Yeah, all of them.
And
When I do a split, they're in a 10-frame, and quite often when I do a split, I'll throw the second brood box on right away, because generally I don't make a split until I get minimal 6 frames of bees in 2 boxes, and so at that point they're just about ready for that second box anyway. And so what I do, I'll generally give the old queen, when I pull her off, I'll give her a another super, and it's always drawn comb. All my honey supers from last year become my brood boxes for
Oh,
this
no
year.
kidding.
Yeah, that's how I do it. And then every year, my honey supers are brand new waxed foundation, because I don't like running old nasty comb through my machines and getting all that dirty honey in there. I like all brand new wax, brand new honey, brand new frames, everything. So
Now,
that's how I do it. And so it rotates your comb as well.
are you guys still using that super 2-man super lifting swing thingy
For
for carrying supers?
it's just a 2-man carrier is what I have. It's just it's an A-frame thing, and
Yeah.
oh yeah. I use that. That's all I got. That and
Yeah.
Charlie.
So when you make all your splits, you're putting drawn comb in there already for them to go ahead and start working.
Right
with.
on the second super. When I add a second super, it's already drawn. So all those are the honey supers from last year become my brood boxes for this year in the second box. That first box is old comb, but the second box is going to be the honey super. So they get up in there, they clean that up. She gets up in there, starts laying, and then usually on the box that they're making new queen, I don't have to throw a second super on that. I can go weeks, almost a month. I just have to check it to make sure that they're growing, and if they're growing good. Once they get 6 frames of bees, I'll throw another good frame of bees. I'll throw another super on, because I don't want to give them a lot of room. I don't want they need to clean up and work the area that they're in. When they get that managed, then I'll give them more.
Brian at Flower Street said you must have a heck of a flow to pull deep honey frames every year. I guess to pull out new wax every year.
Oh yeah. No, well, when I don't know if y'all have seen how I do it. When I even though I get the foundations are coated already, I still dip them in my wax. So the cappings they're still sitting in the garbage can. I've still probably got 200 pounds of cappings that I've got to render down, and that the cappings from last year will become the foundation, the wax that will be applied to the foundation for this year. And so, and I like using capping wax for my honey supers. That's just a personal thing. You use what you have, but I like using the capping wax. And so I render that down, and when I render it into those 15, 20-pound blocks, then I just I usually get about 60, 80 pounds of wax floating in about 10 inches of water in that kettle. It's a 30-gallon kettle, so I can get that thing really deep, where I take my 9 5/8 and I just run it through the wax into the water, pop it up, shake it, and then the whole frame is coated with the capping wax. And
what are you running? I'm sorry, just going to ask. What are you doing for foundation nowadays?
I like the Premier. That's what I use now. Is Premier.
Premier is the best.
I was using Acorn for the
Acorn's
last
good.
3 years, and now because me and Nikki were really good friends, and I like talking with him. And man, anytime I needed frames, it didn't matter, man. He'd always take care of me. But he sold the company now, and it just worked out that and now Matt over at Premier, I've got a really great relation with him, and he's taking care of me when I need the stuff. He sent me frames last year, foundations and frames last year, and this year he sent me some more. So we're using the Premier now. That's what I use. I mean, and what's really nice about the Premier Foundation is that the owner Jeff, he actually did the science behind it, and in the extrusion process, the foundation, the walls of the foundation have to be a certain thickness on that wall because of the process of extruding that plastic. Well, Jeff and his engineer, they were able to they did they studied cell diameter size and cell thickness size, and they got the number, and I don't remember how they get this number, but so they had a number for the thickness of the walls of the cells, and in most everybody's foundations, the wall thickness is thick. Well, Jeff has been able to narrow that thickness of the wall, which is more in keeping with natural beekeeping. Now, this is what I'm told, and I believe it. I believe it. And so the wall cell is thinner, and because the wall cell is thinner, you actually get more cells on a frame, a foundation frame. So I don't know. I don't remember he told me the number. I don't remember, but there are supposedly more individual cells on a frame of Premier than from Acorn or any Man Lake or whatever. But so it's what's interesting though is because that cell wall is thinner, the bees are able to draw the comb faster because they're not trying to follow along 10%. Well, it really makes it makes sense the way they're telling it to me. It makes sense to me, and I mean, you got it. I mean, I use plastic foundation in our frames, and I like the process how I do it, having new honey supers every year. It's just I just don't like running that dark comb through. I just don't like it. And
no, you've got the flow there where you can get away with it. I mean, that's a great thing.
But it's not just the flow. It's having the number of bees in the hive at the time of the flow. That's always the trick.
That's a key.
Yeah, you got to have, and that's why this year I'm excited because we have an early spring for the bees. If the bees are early, then by the time May, we get our first real nectar flow. End of April, May, we get our privet, blackberry, those things. And last year we had a phenomenal blackberry. And if you can have the bees develop in your box early enough, last year we were 3 weeks late last year. Now we're 2 weeks early from normal. So we're almost 5 weeks earlier than now. So 5 weeks, that's almost 2 brood cycles right there. So 2 brood cycles, you're talking, queen laying 2,000 eggs a day. You're talking about a phenomenal amount of bees, a buildup of bees in your box.
So I think what held us up here last year, I think, was our spring rain. To me, we didn't have enough. The privet bloomed out, but I didn't get enough rain, at least in my area. They wouldn't bring in much nectar in off of the privet.
Not the Privet, but the blackberry though, Lee.
Yeah.
Wasn't the blackberry? It was phenomenal last
Blackberry
year.
come in better, and then the tallow we had enough rain for.
Yeah, we had it. And so our privet and blackberry come in around April, May. You get about a 3 week. And generally that's what's going to get those brood that probably third or fourth brood cycle from the initial one. So you're going to probably have 20,000, 25,000 bees in your hive at that point. Boom, here's your tallow. And we have a good, strong, as bad as tallow is to the forestry people, it's everything to the bee people. And it's such a good flow because there's several variety species of tallow where they bloom intermittently. It's not just boom
Really?
all at once. They stagger. So the bloom actually will last 3 to 4 weeks. So it'll go home from end of May to almost the end of June. You'll get your tallow. And
Wow.
that 4 week period is when your hive is most developed. And if you throw in that honey super with foundation with wax already, where the bees just have to draw the wax out instead of waste resources to make the wax, you're just jumping. You're just jumping ahead of everything. And that's the only way you really can do it successfully, at least for me, I found. It's the only way for me to work it.
Now
and that's
you
how I do
did those foundations with your wax, though, right? Or do
yes,
you put
my wax. And that's another thing because I don't treat our bees, so I know what's going in that hive. I know where it's been. It's not. I don't buy people's wax. I'm using our wax, and that's why people ask for me to sell wax, but I don't sell wax because I don't have enough to sell. I have enough for what we do, and when the monks go, they need it because I supply them probably about 40 or 50, probably about 80 pounds a year for their operation.
Well,
I supply them probably about.
Okay, so
Look at Joey.
Hey there, Joey. How you doing?
Now, Mr. Ed, I've been using Acorn.
What's up, guys?
Hey,
Hey, Joseph.
Acorn
Joey, how you
Foundation.
doing?
Now,
I didn't hear you, Bob.
I'm sorry. I think we're getting feedback on Joe's end over there.
Hey, Joey, you got a YouTube window open?
Yeah, you got to close your YouTube. You got to mute your YouTube window. But I've been using the Acorn, and you know if you leave that out in the sun for 10 minutes down where we're at, it'll split the
Yeah.
And thing when we were at the show, sun for 10 minutes down where we're at.
I think you still got a loop there, Joey.
Yeah, the premiere. The thing that they were showing us at the show was how flexible it was to snap into the frame easily.
Yes.
But my thought was, first thing I thought, well, that's even more flexible than the Acorn that already warps on you. So have you had any experience yet with that?
No, because last year was the first year, and I never. I actually, the problem with the Acorn, I found that for me, because I dipped those foundation, and it's so heavy that because the foundation on the Acorn was so thick already that it was hard to get in that groove. You could get into the top groove, but when you try to snap it into that bottom one, the wax buildup was so much you almost have to scrape it off that to get that like tongue inside of that groove, and that was an issue that I kept having. So the foundation was actually curved
Right.
in the frame, and so you had to make sure that you don't want to throw a frame in there with curved foundation in there. So you have to make sure that foundation was in there flat. And I had a couple of them that weren't caught, and they came out like that. The bees just build to it.
They just make it thicker in the middle on one
Yeah,
side.
it's still even on the outside, but on the inside, it's changed up.
Okay. Because that was one of the things I've been looking to buy frames, and that was one of the reasons why I was kind of hesitant on the Premier, was because of the thickness of that foundation, where it would possibly.
I'm not concerned with that. I'm really not. And why are you having your foundations out in the sun?
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer for.
Hey Ed, there's one more thing about that Premier frames. Their cells, I think their ends are sharper too. And I think the bees like that. Some of the other ones are more rounded.
Yeah, you're talking about just on the surface of the foundation.
Yeah, the surface.
Yeah, and I think that's the deal of the narrower cell wall thickness.
Right. I think it's a
We're able
win-win.
to achieve that sharpness.
Right.
Now, if they would make a plastic frame,
No, I don't
That would
like
be
plastic
great.
frames.
well, everybody says that, but you know what I like about the plastic frames? They're half the price of the wooden frames,
Yeah,
or
but
more.
when I first started, that's all I had was plastic frames, and the problem that I had with them is that after 2 years, the ears start cracking off and breaking.
Same here. That's I've broken more plastic frames than I have wood ones.
My biggest complaint is how they apply the wax to on the top bars. They keep on wanting to try to draw cross wax in there between the two boxes.
And they also, if you don't get a good wax foundation on it, they build the comb away from the foundation, from the wall, and that's the wacky comb. Oh, that is totally useless.
I think I've bought probably 2, maybe 3 boxes, as far as like 10 frame boxes worth of the plastic frames, just to try them out.
Yeah.
Everything else I have is wood.
Yeah. They work real good in my BVAC. I love them in my BVAC though.
Yeah.
Because when I do that toss of them, I don't have to worry about them breaking. I go throw them.
Yeah,
I just threw about 500 of them away.
Did you really?
Hey, you might have got some of those from me, huh, Joey?
No, I think they came from Man Lake.
Yeah, that's where I was getting mine from.
Hey Joey, what's the nearest town you two over there?
Franklinton.
Okay, I know where you're at then.
Hmm.
I wasn't sure exactly how far you were from me.
Yeah, I'm probably about an hour and a half from you.
Yeah, probably roundabout. Depending if you go 12 or if you take Highway 16 all the way through.
Yeah.
The
16's quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16's better for sure.
I've got a kind of an embarrassing question here because I have to admit I never looked for it. Does anybody make just plastic foundation for drones?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
They must.
Green.
or the frame. I know they make the
No,
green frames, but I've never,
not the green plastic frame, just the foundation. I'm sure somebody does. I just never looked for it. That's
all I've seen is that green stuff. That's what I've seen.
yeah.
I've only seen the green.
That's and Jeff, about the Premier Foundation cell count. I don't know if they actually have more because once you get them in the frame, so the frame is eating up the outer row.
Right.
Yeah, then they're almost the same, I believe. But
I'm not worried about all the science part
no,
of it.
no, not at all. It works. It works, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
Yeah.
I care about.
Don't really care. Yeah. Something else.
I don't really think much of me as a beekeeper. As long as it works, I'll use it. I'm good. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, he's helped us. How many times have you helped harvest honey with us, Joey?
The honey harvest just one time.
That's right, because you're always on vacation when.
Yeah, I've been there.
Perfect timing.
I've been there in the early spring when you.
Yeah, we'll be doing the hive openings, that kind of stuff. But when we do our harvest, it's like a party over there. It's like we and nobody does the same job. Everybody rotates the jobs, just rotate around, and we really need about 10 people in there to do the job, and so we always have a good time. It is fun, but Joey.
How much
you
money?
need 10 people where 5 of them can stand around all the time.
That's right. Somebody's got to be eating, right?
Somebody's got a video, everybody.
Last time we had 5 video cameras going in there.
Now, Mike, looking on Better Bee, they do have the green drone frame, but they do have a deep unwired drone like wax foundation that you could buy.
Lee, thanks so much for looking for that.
But I'm not finding just a regular black plastic drone foundation yet.
Yeah, I don't know who I got my green frames from. I've got them from a variety of different sources, my drone frames. And I think about 10% of them have worked. So I'm thinking it was one manufacturer. But Jeff, the reason I run the green ones is I just want all the drones on one frame. I don't want the other foundation sticking out, bulging in different places, so I don't roll as many bees. That's just me.
Yeah.
You know. So
yeah,
There you go, Mike. You can make the first ones. Drone plastic foundation.
Well, doesn't it strike you as kind of odd that nobody does that? You know, it just.
Yeah. I prefer them to just make their own.
They just have the green ones, I guess.
Yeah, that's funny. We've got a plastic injector just down the road in the country here. I should stop by and say, hey.
There you go.
I'd go look at it.
It's a little bit of fun.
Just put foundation this in and let them make their own.
You know, I do that. I do that too, Joe. But I mean, I'm a klutz. I'd be just afraid I'd bust them or something. You know, that's why. That's another reason. I mean, honest to God, that's why I actually run the plastic frames. I do something wrong and there's cracked wax all over the place, and that's just me.
Yeah, Mark's saying he uses a drone wax foundation. I guess kind of like what I was just showing from Better Bee. I don't know if that's who he gets it from, but
all right.
Jeff, how much honey did the Abbey get this year?
I think it was 350 gallons is what we did.
350.
But last year we did 450. Man, it's too much. It's too much work. I ain't doing all that.
Well, you got all that slave labor. I mean,
no, it's too much. It's too much work on me and Charlie. Yeah, but processing isn't the problem. It's the gathering of the boxes. Last year we had 95. The year before we had, I think, 120, 130 of them. It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard. That's those boxes, 70 to 80 pounds of honey per box. And it's just, and we stack everything is in 5, so we do runs of 50, and that's just how our setup is done. And so we roll in on dollies when we pull the supers off of the trailer. We stack 5 on a time, and then we roll them into the honey house, and we'll fill that honey house with dollies with honey on it. It smells fantastic in there. And that's why I was asking Bob and Lee how many you run, because we're running what is it, 1,000 frames, in 6 hours is what we do. That's how long it took us to do. And that's we take the frames out of the box, uncap them, spin them, put them back in the box, roll them out to the back, clean up. And it was 6 hours last year for us to do that. But there was 10 people doing it, but still, and we did 1,000 frames.
Hey, you got to get to the Abbey and rustle some young guns.
I think that big.
I didn't hear you.
I think that big extractor.
I said you need to run to the Abbey and get some young guns to move that honey.
Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to get some younger guys to pull in those supers, because Charlie's 72, I'm 66. Man, that stuff that just wears you down.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
It is. That's a young man's game.
No doubt.
I'm only 44, and that's why I run all mediums. My back just won't handle the deeps. I mean, I could probably do a couple of them, but then it'd wear me out.
I'm changing
Oh.
some of my hives so they're not going to be so tall. I'm going to go with what Brad does up in Canada and run those 3 6 framers, and then put a deep on top of them, and then maybe one more medium super. At least that way they'll be at waist high, and I won't have to reach up so high.
Yeah.
Get somebody just to help you pull that stuff off.
Right.
They
Oh,
come
man.
up about my chest, top of my chest.
Right. I'm going to try to keep it no higher than that.
Well, that's not a bad height to pull if you got one
Right.
guy on each side. Because that's a good height to do it. But by yourself, I ain't no good.
Right. I'll be 62 this year, so I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah.
Well, wait, last year, my number 1 hive, I had 5 medium supers stacked up on top of it. And this
so you're
year,
working above your head, Lee?
Yeah.
this year I pulled off 5 medium supers and still had 3 left on there. So, I mean, it filled up 8 supers on that one hive.
Yeah.
What that was for the tallow?
Yeah, for a tallow.
Uh-huh.
Which the comb and most of that was already drawn out. I think I put 1 new box on for them to draw me an extra box out.
Uh-huh.
But I left three full medium supers on there over the winter. And I mean, they've still got honey in there, but they've got a lot of bees in there too.
Now, Jeff, do you guys graft up there, or you just let them?
No, man, I don't do that. That's work.
Too much work.
Yeah.
You just
That's
let
why
them.
I go steal the swarm cells.
Yeah, but you're tilting those boxes and cutting all those cells out. That's work.
That's not
fun
work.
work, though.
All you do is you take that box, you throw it up on the side, take that knife and just run it down the edge of that frame, pop that cell out of there.
There you go.
Pull the frame out.
Put them in your pocket and you're ready to go.
By the time I'm finished, it looks like it's a superseding cell on that foundation.
Right.
I'm telling you, I got it down to a science now.
This
This year, I'm
one
going to
video.
get Charlie to video that process because I never have really done it. It's so pretty when you get a swarm cell that's 1.5 inches, and you cut the comb out and put that thing on the foundation and put that wax around it again. It's only hanging out maybe 1/2 inch. It's beautiful. It looks awesome.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think you filmed the tipping of the box and cutting them out.
Oh yeah, I've done it. That's
Where you're whittling the hive.
So Joey, how many hives are you running this year?
I've got about
Charlie.
35.
35. All right.
Joey, did I meet you at Hive Life? I think I did.
Yeah, you were the first person I walked up to.
Yeah, we apologize for that.
Yeah. Well, he looked like he was in trouble. Yappy had a hold of him.
Oh, right out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called Yappy. He said, "I'm not Yappy, I'm Bob." I said, "No, I'm Bob."
When Mona and I were driving up there, we were passing through Alabama, and Yappy calls us and he goes, "Look, you just have to pull over at whatever exit it was." And I said, "We got it. We're gonna do. We'll call you right before we get up there." Well, in Louisiana, like anything over 3 foot is like considered a mountain over here. And as you're going through Birmingham, and you start seeing sheer rock faces out there, and you gotta like tilt your head back to see it. And she and I were talking and we're looking at all this stuff. We were 20 miles past Yappy's exit. And he called, "Where are you?" And I said, we passed you up.
Oh.
That's why you was late.
It was a I'm telling you, that Hive Life is awesome. And she and I had a great time. I think, well, I know I had a better time than she did. She stayed in the room sewing.
So she should get that blanket sewed up yet with all the little honeycomb shape?
Look, wait. Yeah.
Is she working on it?
She's gonna smack him in the head.
Lee, what's she doing?
She's making.
She took like some honeycomb looking fabric and cut it and folded and sewed it into shapes of like little honeycombs. And he was
Wow.
on Hive Life and getting people to sign their name on it, and then she
Oh,
was
great.
it all together.
Yes, look, this is the well, I don't know if I can open it all the way up, but this is the size of it.
Wow.
And then all the little hexes will be all on here. She's got my logo. This will be on the background when I go live. You'll see this thing. And so I got a whole bunch of guys to sign little
Great.
ones for them. They'll be all on here.
My name's on one of them.
Yeah. I got Bob, I got Lee, I got Joey, and Randy paid me $50 to sign one.
Oh man.
Yeah, so she's in there right now working on it. Right now,
I bet that's gonna be nice when she's finished.
Oh yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
It's a lost art.
What?
It's a
Oh,
lost
Jeff,
art.
I'm gonna bring you a label.
I still missed it.
I said I'm gonna bring you a label.
Oh yeah. That's so. So look. So on my what it was actually Mona. We and I talked about it. I wanted in the honey house to
Oh, right.
get people to send me their labels. And look, this is the stack of them that came today. I mean, it's like they send me their labels and they're gonna. Here's one right here.
That's great.
There you go. That's good.
Wow.
Hey, Mr. Ed, I'll be sending one after mine's finished.
Yeah, so
I'm making a new one.
What's
There's
that?
probably there's some really nice ones, and you'd think that. Look at this one right here. Let's see.
Can't see it.
There you go.
There it is, right there.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice.
They're not. They're all different. They're all different shapes, sizes. So there's no, like conformity. They're all now. I actually talked to this guy at the conference.
Sean Bowders.
Sean Bowders.
Yeah, he gave me
Regular over here.
I've got a couple of his. I got one of his stickers on my lunchbox for work too. But I'm
He
doing the
likes
same
to give away his stickers.
I've got a
I've
Ziploc
got
bag
you.
around here somewhere with a bunch of labels in it. I'm going to build a shadow box and hang on the wall behind me with the LED lights in it and put everybody's honey label in it. That's what I've been working on.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
James
just
is asking, do you have any
people
labels from
have
Canada?
such different designs on them. Beautiful stuff.
You got any labels from Canada?
Not yet. It's really, I mean, I really just started getting the labels in. So, I hope to get several hundred of them and just put them up in one of the sections on the honey houses.
There's James's.
Well, whose is that one?
James McNally in Canada.
Yeah.
Old
Yeah.
Mc-
Well, because
Old
I've got some of his honey as well. Because I recognize the bee on it.
Oh, that confuses me because it's in English, isn't he, in Canada?
Not French.
Sorry, James.
Flower Street Bees, which is Brian around. He's near Colorado. Denver, ain't it? Denver,
Yeah.
Colorado. He said,
Anyone that
address
wants to
is in one.
send me the address, I'll put my address. I don't know. You'll have to
Put it
go
in-
to my.
Converted into US.
Can I say it, Lee? And you could say what it is, show what it is.
What's your the website again?
Well, let me give you the address. It's 75376.
Get right here. 75 what?
376
6.
River Road.
Pastor, I'm on a video chat here right now. Is everything okay?
St. Benedict, Louisiana. 70420.
What's that zip?
70420.
think I got that right. I just dropped it in the comment. Verify that for me that it's correct.
And then just put Mr. Ed on it, and the post office knows who I am. They just put Mr. Ed on it. They get it to me.
Oh, wonderful.
Is that the correct address in the comment there?
Say it again, Lee.
Is that the correct address in the comments there?
I don't know where the comments went.
Here, put it up.
7537 River Road, St. Benedict. Benedict.
Okay. I put I.
BENE. That's it. 70457.
Okay. 70457.
457.
Go put the correct one in the chat, guys. Now you're going to get blasted with 100 more labels.
That's
You're gonna
good.
have it's going to take the whole wall.
No, I do. I actually want to use it in a corner so that it'll go around a corner. That's how I want to do it. So Bona's gonna she's gonna put a grid, honeycomb grid on the wall, and then we're gonna place the labels inside of that.
I hit it wrong. Yeah, 70457.
Yeah, 70457.
Okay. I put 2 sevens anyway. I just corrected it.
Thank you, Lee.
Is that going to be the opposite corner where all the cameras are?
Yeah, it's where the sink is in the honey house.
Yeah.
Back in that corner right
That's
there.
a good spot.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's the right spot for it. I wish the honey house was about twice that size, though, huh? I bet everybody wishes their honey house was twice their size.
It don't matter how big you build one, you always want more room or need more room.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Charlie's mighty quiet down there this evening, and he
John
doesn't even
is-
have popcorn.
Huh?
You don't
No.
even have your popcorn, and you're quiet down there.
No, I just was looking at, responding to the chat and everything. I just got off of a Zoom meeting with, it's a group meeting with Jamie Ellis out of Florida. They were talking about pollen patties and stuff like that. What his
Hive beetle patties.
no, it's more or less about whether the bees actually ate it, whether there was any nutrition value for the bees, whether or not the bees responded by producing more brood and things like that. And all. It was quite interesting.
I just typed it there.
Only James.
That was the correct address, Lee. That was.
It took him like 3 edits in the chat.
Yeah.
Now I got it. No,
Hey, I'm good at clicking, just not typing.
Well, that's
Hey,
because
guys,
you're looking at 3 screens. That's why you say, what?
My neighbor just stopped by, something to take off. So y'all have a blessed night. Take
All right.
care and
Well,
happy being.
Mike.
all right, good, Mike.
Good night.
Good night.
now James can come in.
James McNally from Canada is going to send you a label.
James has been he made 200 deeps, and now he's in the process of doing 2,000 frames assembly.
Oh,
Yeah. Man, I thought I was busy doing 13 deeps and 20 bottom boards. And next week I'm doing another 11 more deeps and a bunch of lids.
So you just need to have more bees die, and then you have free equipment like I do.
Knock on wood, I'm having a good winter so far.
Hey, since
Yeah,
he
that's
just
always
come in
good
the
when bees
chat
live.
here, I just seen somebody come in the chat here. This coming Sunday, Sean Bouters is going to have a birthday.
Well, happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Sean.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
And you just missed your stickers being blasted all over the interwebs. So,
Yeah, and I got he's got one that's about the size of a softball that he gave me too.
this one right here.
Yeah, that's it. That's a beautiful. I like that label. It's pretty.
Yeah, his son designed them for him.
Yeah, in fact, because when I talked to him, I talked to his son, and I believe his wife they were like 4 of them when I talked with them. Because I think that was on the last day.
Andy says he's making 25 two-way pallets, 10 three-way pallets, and a wax dipping tank.
Oh my!
James
God.
is busy.
Yeah, you're gonna be busy.
Oh, and he has a full-time job as well.
Oh my gosh!
And grew his apiary crazy last year as well. So
Right.
Yeah,
went
what was it?
15 to
16
78
hives.
in one season through his own splits. So yeah, he's a busy fella. And then but he still has time to get on the phone with me. So
Well, guys, I hate to say it, but I got to go. It's time. It's time for me. 3:30 comes around real quick.
That's about what time I get up.
Well, what are you doing? Not getting ready to go to bed.
We got about 40 minutes left.
Oh, is that it? Is that all you got? Is 4 minutes?
30.
Nah, 40.
Oh, I ain't
We
with
normally
that.
try to go about 2 hours.
Oh no, I can't do that. I can't hang out with you.
So why are you getting up so much or so early? You're not delivering mail, are you, anymore?
No, not anymore. But when I was delivering mail, that's what time I was getting up. I always got up early. But no, now I get up. Mona actually gets up at that time too. But I get up. I head up to the Abbey and I go pray with the monks and then I do my morning prayers up there with them. And my day, I'm in the shop working 7:30. I'm in there working now.
That's right. You do work at the casket shop.
Caskets. Yeah. So it's just like the my days are very much complete. I don't work as hard as James, trust me. But I feel my time.
So if you get up that early, what time do you quit in the afternoon?
3.
Okay.
Okay.
I got to come home and cook, right?
That's Mona's job.
Oh, I like cooking though. I do like cooking. She cooks too, but I like cooking and I like cleaning up dishes too. I like washing dishes by hand.
Well, guys, I gotta cut out. My phone's about dead.
All right, Chris.
Well, Chris, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Yeah, you too, guys.
I'm headed out, you guys.
James is getting ready to jump in. For some reason, he said it wasn't pinned at the top, but I'm looking at my channel over there, and it looks like
it over there.
It's pinned.
You got it.
Oh, there he is.
I'll show you what I get to play around with.
They just didn't pin it in Canada. They pinned it
James.
everywhere else.
I don't know how good you can see there, but that's what I play with at work.
What's that up?
A crane.
How many hives could you lift at a time with that, Lee?
All of them. He could lift every one of his subscribers with that.
Just the counterweight on the back of it is over 144,000 pounds.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a fancy hive lifter.
Yeah, I can lift a couple with it.
I thought the easy lift was expensive. I wouldn't want the bill for that one.
So James,
how many
I
hives
did
you
get
gonna have this
your
year?
labels today. I did get them.
Wait, you got some from James today?
James, how many
Oh,
hives
not
do you
James.
plan
No,
to
I'm sorry,
have
not James. No.
this season?
Yeah.
How many am I
but
planning on
I
having
definitely
this
want.
season?
I definitely
Yes.
want to get yours.
I'll drop it in the mail in the morning. I got the right address. I'll drop it in there in the morning, and it'll be on its way.
Good. I appreciate it.
So,
Well, guys, I'm headed to bed now. So thanks
have a good one,
for
Jeff.
having me
Night.
on today, and I do appreciate it.
Thanks for
Yes,
giving me a shout out on my swarm lure as well on your video. I appreciate that.
Yeah, on Friday it's all about Bob.
Go to
Good night,
Amazon.
guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
But well, you look tired.
I am tired. I was going to say, somebody was asking how many hives I'm planning on having this year. I have no idea. This year's, once again, all about building the bees. So
I figured 200.
15 to 75. Yeah, I say about 250.
we'll see where we end up. So
See, now that's contrary to what you said. You have to have a goal, and then you have to work towards that goal. So let's restate the question. What is your goal for this year, James?
my 2-year goal was to have 75 hives.
Yeah, but
So-
you had to revise that.
I had to revise that. So Like I said, I'm not going to revise that goal until I know what comes out of the bee barn. So we'll see what comes out this spring. We'll make an assessment, and then I'll revise the goal from there. So Alan and I were out there yesterday, day before. So I do know that I do have a couple of my little 6-way nukes. Now I think out of the 6-way or the 6-frame 3-way pallets that I put in there, I do know that 4 of them were put to bed late. They were just a little bit behind. And I know that 2 of those 4 have already failed. So not a surprise to me, but the rest of them seem to be going strong. Everything else had bees right at the entryway. So far, so good.
That's good.
Well, hey, out of 78, if you've lost 4,
2 right now.
2. All right, yeah. So that's pretty good percentages right there.
Yeah, these are the toughest months though. If they're going to starve out or they're going to have a problem, from everything that everybody's told me, February and March are the 2 months to really watch closely. So
if you figure that, you've lost less than 3% for the year.
No, I'm kidding. I allotted for 30. So, I everything, all my business plan, all my sheets and stuff like that is all set for a 30% loss. So if I get a 30% loss, I sure hope I don't. But if I get a 30% loss, I should still end up somewhere right around the 150 to 175 mark. If I can handle that many. So that's kind of the key, right? I still haven't found that number of which I can handle yet. So that's
right.
That's a key player there. So
yeah, my number is 30 hives. Working full time, my age, 30 hives is enough.
So
but is that where you capped it, or is that where the bees capped it for you? If that makes sense.
Are you talking to me or Tom?
Tom, because he said 30 was enough. But is that like, did you go over and then you lost back to 30 because you couldn't manage?
Yeah, I go over it a little bit, anywhere from 28 to 32, maybe. I don't lose too many hives in the winter. I lost one this year so far, and that was my fault. I had one of my nukes crown. You know how they kind of roll a little bit and they split at the top?
Right.
The box lid had a crack in it, which I couldn't see because it was underneath the crown, and water dripped in when the snow melted, and it dripped on the bees and killed them.
Well, interesting you mentioned that. So I was talking to a gentleman yesterday. He was trying to understand, and he phoned just to see if I could give him some insight. So he had 2 hives that he put into winter. The one he put in was really super strong. The other one he put in was, in his words, weak. The strong hive has died. It's died out. His weak hive is still going. But interesting enough, when I was talking to him, he would the advice that he got was to seal the hive up as tight as he could. So when he cracked the top board, it was covered with hoarfrost right down into the frames and stuff. So of course we're getting crazy weather up here again, typical Alberta weather. It's 40 below 1 week and it's plus 10 the next. So that's hard as it is. So I suspect that's what happened to his, and we can only suspect at this time until we, unless he pulls some bees and does a look. But the fact that he had, all that frost up top probably melted, probably got the bees all wet inside the hive. And, he's, it's anybody's best guess, but that's probably never a good situation. So, my recommendation to him is you need a little bit, in my opinion, for the bees that I've kept outside, you need a small opening at the top to allow some of that airflow to go in there and some of that moisture to get out. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I run a real small gap.
So it doesn't take much. What I found worked good was your top entrance on your top cover. Basically, that's all you would need. Like, 3/4 of an inch by 3/8 of an inch was lots, just something, right?
Yeah, I probably run about half of that, but I don't get as cold as you do, or as long.
So
See, as far as top ventilation on mine, when I was running telescopic covers, I'd have the inner cover that got that little notch out in it, and I would slide the cover to the front and use that for a top vent.
exactly, that's exactly what I do, right?
But most of my hives now, I'm going to migratory covers, so I don't have that top vent in there anymore.
So
Right.
anyways,
So how many frames did you get assembled?
today, none. So basically, what I did today is most people that follow my channel, my wood shop is extremely small. So all the boxes, well, my box saga is continuing, but all of the boxes that we had built, we loaded up and we hauled them all out there yesterday. So yeah, somebody's got to wake Charlie up.
That's Brad.
I was just about to zoom in on him.
So anyways, we hauled all those out. We got them all storage outside, and then yeah, just working with the metal fabricator here right now to get me a price for my dipping tank. And yeah, busy. Lots to do.
Tom and Joseph. Yeah, Joseph has a channel. Tom's got a channel, right? Joe, what?
Yeah, I have a channel.
That's my name, Joseph Ross.
Mine's Macaperry or Maccabees. New name.
And Lee's got a channel, you know, since he needs some more subs. Where's Grayson when you need him? Grayson, give this man a tutorial on how to gain subs.
I just drop Joey's channel in the comments, and I'm about to drop Tom's.
Lisa says her wood shop is her dining room.
Hey, if that works. If I brought my wood shop to our dining room, my wife would kill me.
She's probably already upset you're on lives every night, just about now.
No, not too bad. She was happy that I think I got all the boxes out of the garage, so she maybe can park in there again.
She doesn't have to worry about defrosting the windshield as much from inside the garage.
No, it's kind of nice. Well, we've had a garage for many years, and for the longest time it was a hangar. Then it was a fab shop, and now it's a storage location for bee supplies.
Lisa says she is the wife, so she makes the rules. But yeah, well, you know my saga, what I'm going through in my mind all the time. Because I dumped that on James. James has become the broad shoulders I lean on.
I'm just an ear. What you know, I put him on mute most of the time, and when I see his lips stop talking, then I have to take it off mute and say something.
While he's talking, you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah.
And then he's like the radio announcer. He's got a disclaimer before he gives me any type of tip. He's like, you know, and his speech starts getting faster, like the commercials where they start talking really fast. Well, I don't know what I would do, but this is, you know, this is what I would do.
It's like you could do whatever you want to do, but if it was mine, this is what I would look at possibly doing.
Yes.
And if you do it and they all die, you can't hold me accountable.
Right. That's it. It's the disclaimer. He's like, and I've got the paperwork being sent to you overnight, so you can get it notarized and sent back to me.
Hey, Joseph, how many horizontal hives are you running this year compared to your regular Langstroths?
I've got 5 in service right now, and I've got one that's empty.
Okay.
So how long you been YouTubing, Joseph?
Oh, I think somewhere around 2017, maybe.
Okay. So I looked at you got a couple thousand subscribers there, so it's been a few years
Yeah.
to get that point.
Yeah, I started, I think 2017. I had the channel before that, and then I'd post a little bit, and then I'd quit. And then somebody would want to, kind of like Mike Berry said, somebody would want to see something or ask a question. I said, I'll do a video on it where you can see it. And I'd start back up again, and I'd stop. So I've been kind of busy with it again here lately.
Yeah, I've been watching. You've been posting a few more videos lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my goals this year is to post a little bit better videos and more of them.
Well, like spring last year, I was doing pretty decent. I was posting one video every single week until I hit turnaround time. And then I got busy and didn't post any for, I think, what, Bob, about 3 months there?
Yep.
I didn't even get into my bees for like 3 months.
Ooh.
But when I did go back out there, they were all still strong. So I guess just me not messing with them didn't bother them none, and I wasn't hurting them.
There's something to be said with leaving them alone. I mean,
Yeah.
that's for sure, right?
Our guest, Mr. Ed, he hardly goes into his.
So
I kind of work like Mr. Ed does. I until just recently, I hadn't been in a hive since I think maybe October.
Yeah. I don't get into them that much. In the springtime, early spring, I'll go through and totally go through them and clean out the bottom boards and stuff like that. And then after that, I might get in the top box, but not in the bottom box very much.
Yeah. Around here, if I open a hive up too long, it's gonna get hit. They're gonna start robbing in a hurry.
No, I don't have that issue till fall time, late summer.
That starts around here around mid-July, and it don't quit about this time of year.
Wow.
We'll get a fall flow of goldenrod most of the time. Now, some years, I mean, it's almost non-existent. But yeah, after we pull our honey, say end of June, beginning of July, it's pretty much robin season's on then. I'm trying to run through the comments here, make sure I'm not missing anything.
I thought I saw somebody ask me something, but I don't see it anymore.
I see where Sebastian here saying you got a nice channel. That's a
thank
beekeeper.
you.
That's a beekeeper from the United Kingdom.
Cool.
So I did find my pigs. Actually, someone else found my pigs. They're about a mile down the road. And they're in someone's backyard fenced in, and they're allowing me to keep them in there so I can repair the pen tomorrow. And then, but somebody on the Facebook group said, hey, if nobody claims those pigs, I'll come give them a happy home. So I messaged the guy and said, if you can pick them up, you can have them. So they may be getting rehomed. He said, I will be in touch. So, there are definitely pets here. So I love them, but I don't have time to be chasing them all over the place. And if somebody else wants to put them on
There's Randy.
Yeah, there he is. You
See
can see,
y'all.
here you go, Randy. Got your dirt rooster.
That sounds like a sick chicken too.
Yeah, I need to get a new one.
So let me see. Yeah, he dipped out already.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he was getting too old, had to get in the bed early. Randy.
He said he told all the lies on you he could tell, so he had to go.
Lisa said he couldn't hang.
So, Randy, what's the drive-through of the evening? He said you always took the small swarms. If you let
Hey Lee, what's your limit on here? 6 people?
10.
10. Okay. I was thinking, say if Randy wanted to come in, I'd get out.
Oh, no, we can have more.
Okay.
Now, you notice that Bobby said, telling Tom he got a nice hat.
There you go.
I didn't
That's
see
because
nothing
it's
about
one
Bob.
of his.
Mine is autographed
There you go.
by Ed and Dirt Rooster.
Bob, did you see my Dirt Rooster cap?
No,
You didn't see it?
no, what was it?
It's just like the one you got on.
Oh, is it?
I got all kind of signatures on
Yeah,
it.
it's autographed everywhere.
Well, Mr. Ed was going to just write Dirt Rooster on it, and he didn't. So
I actually got that one on video whenever Mr. Ed signed your hat.
oh yeah, we were live with Mr. Ed that day.
Yep.
Still waiting for my feminine Dirt Rooster hat to show up on the shop.
Hey, Joseph, I'm hoping to pick up my first horizontal hive in March. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think you'll like it. I like mine, and I'd really like to go to more, but I just hadn't built any yet.
Right.
That's why you call Ricky Rourke. He'll build all of them that you need.
He's building mine. He's painting it for me and putting my logo and everything on it. So it should look pretty sharp.
He builds some nice ones.
Yeah, he does.
Mine are just plain Jane.
Right.
I got
my build
Ricky's.
will be plain too.
I got Ricky's queen mating nuke, so I can break it all the way down to 12 2-frame mating nukes, or 5 or 6 5-frame nukes, or 3 10-frame deeps.
What is
That's
it?
That's what I ordered, Lee. Same one.
Okay.
What is it right now?
6 5-frame nukes right now.
You have 6 5-frame nukes in it currently?
No, not in it. That's the way I got it set up right now.
Last time I saw a video on it, I think you had 1 or 2 nukes in it, right? Or
I had 2 in it.
Is it
I
still?
plan on using mine partially as a queen ring hive and then some nukes on the side.
I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish repainting the entrances to where it's got different colors and different shapes over each entrance. That way, whenever the queen does fly out, hopefully that'll kind of help her get back in the right spot.
Just paint it like a Rubik's Cube and have them all messed up. All different colors or squares.
I heard you mention that, Lee. I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Similar thing.
I mean, I at least think that it'll help anyway.
You could just get stickers and put them over each entrance, like Ohio State on one, Michigan State, Michigan, all the Big Ten. Well, I mean, you're in Big Ten territory. That's what I'm saying. For us, it'd be all SEC schools, right? And
LSU put on there.
Let me see. My biggest goal this year is set up for 35 nukes for winter and to get up to 45 hives. You'll get there.
That's a good goal.
I don't know what my target is.
Where are you starting? If you're going to that, where are you starting at right now? I'm curious.
Well, he's in the UK. Didn't he tell us how many colonies he had the other day?
I can't remember. That's why I was asking. I couldn't remember.
All right, Randy. We'll talk to you later, bud. But I'm sure he's got that delay, so he'll get to us in a second. 30. He's got 30.
30. That's what I thought. Yeah, you'll get there. Absolutely. You've got that one. I'd say down pat.
I just haven't set a goal of where I want to be.
You're not sure what direction you're going in yet.
Well, it changes. I mean, I know what I'm focused on growing the. We know that, but I don't know.
That's his goal. He's going to be growing.
Right. So how I'm going to grow, that's out there still yet. So I've got some plans, but I don't know. Every time I get like phone calls and stuff, and it's like, hey, you could do this, and hey, you could do that. And I'm like, I can, but now it's like, which one, right? High gadget to B ratio. I've already got that. Damn it, Brad.
I think he's got that nailed. Like, I mean, by far.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing when I started counting up my comb, and I was like, damn, I got almost as much comb drawn as colonies that I have bees in the comb set out already.
So James, when you have 3 6 frames sitting together and you got your boxes on top, is that 1 hive or 3 hives?
Well, that'd be you just left that wide open. That'd depend if it was 3/4 or 7/8 material, and that's going to take the rest of the night for everybody to figure out.
What did somebody say the other day? We call the Canadian cold the wood shrunk.
Oh man, did I laughed so hard. I'm out in the wood shop, and you guys are trying to figure out what 7/8 Canadian is in American. I damn near put the staple gun through my finger.
And Bob will throw in the dollars.
Good night, Lisa.
Have a good night, Lisa.
Yeah,
Lisa.
So, but I would consider that to be 3 hives, filling two honey boxes.
Gotcha.
Well,
So,
you count your queens, right? Colonies with queens, unless it's a mating nuke.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I like the three frame pallets that I put in the winter barn, and like I said, I know 4 of them were very light. So of all of them, if I kind of figured some were going to not make it, those were, I'd be betting on those ones. But a 3 frame nuke that I put to bed, I counted that as exactly that, three different nukes. So three was the count for them.
Gotcha.
Now, James, when you say light, are we talking stores or just bees itself?
No, they were light on stores. So the boxes themselves were full. They just how do I put this? The sugar water, the 2-to-1 sugar water that I gave them, I was having problems because a couple of the buckets that I had, they were some of the original ones I had, and they would keep crystallizing off on the screen. So I finally switched the buckets and stuff like that around, but they just weren't getting the sugar water they should have been getting at the rate they wanted it. So completely this guy's fault, 100%. But just something that I knew, and in fact I'm picking up this month. I'm picking up 50 more pails from Bee Made here when I go down to Red Deer here on the 25th. So
now, what's Bob's problem, Mary? He said his was leaking juice on the hives and stuff like that. Is it not full enough, or is just too fluctuating in the heat?
Temperature fluctuation.
So that'll do some for sure. The other one too is what I found is I made the mistake when I first got into beekeeping to clean the buckets. Oh, I'll just pop the lid off, right? And I found as soon as you pop that lid off, the seal just doesn't seem to seal properly. It doesn't hold the vacuum, and then you end up flooding out your bees. So now the pails that I get from Bee Made up here, the screen is melted right into the pail, and then off to the side they have the yellow fill cap. So there's only one, and I never take the lids off them. I put the lids on. I never take the lids off. The only thing that comes off is that yellow cap.
I might have to look at that because I get all my feeder buckets from Better Bee, and the screen is melted into it, but you have to pop the lid off to refill it.
Yeah.
I never thought about drilling a hole and putting the yellow cap in it.
That's what they have. They've got the hole drilled, the yellow cap just pops right in there, and it works very well. It's a smaller. I want to say it's a 1-inch cap, might be 1.25 inches, but yeah, it works way better. Of course, they're a bit. How many versions of the grafting stand in the video? Depends what video. So my original grafting stand video where I was trying to design it, there's only one. I do make 2 versions of it. So one version has the drawers in the bottom. Those ones I just make for special events, if you will. So those ones I pretty much make just to, for example, I made 2 of them for the Hive Life conference. One had the table or the drawer in the bottom, one didn't. But yeah, for me to put the drawer in the bottom, it adds probably, I'm going to say 4+ hours to building that table. So they're, they're really kind of a special giveaway, if you will. It's kind of of end of it. So I've got two versions: the standard table and then the one with the drawer.
The one with the drawer, it'd be good to put your grafted tools and all in, right?
Correct. So I made a couple of those when I first got into beekeeping, and I work quite a bit, and there was two people that were really inspirational to me getting into beekeeping. The yellow screen cap, Daisy Honey, is the one that would leak on me, so that's the ones I kind of went away from. But everybody else has got good. They work good for them. Just make sure you put a hole in the side of that yellow cap. Otherwise, you're always left with this much sugar water in the pail. But there was two people that were inspirational for me getting into beekeeping. So, and partly getting into YouTube as well. So one of those was Jose with the California Beekeeper. So his wife, Kelly, got a hold of me, and I made them a couple special tables. In fact, I do believe I think she said their unveiling or their unwrapping of those tables will be coming out here in February. And then the other one that I made was the bug farmer. So he also helped me out when I first got into some of the beekeeping. So I made him one and sent that out there too. So those were the three. And then of course the two that I made for the Hive Life conference with the there and that Cayman's got the youth program going on there. I believe that to be an absolute awesome program. So I will continue to support that youth program, pretty much as long as I'm in beekeeping. So I think that's absolutely great.
Hey everyone, I'm going to sign out. So thanks for letting me on, and everybody have a great night.
Have a good one, Tom.
Good night, Tom.
Now, Bob, as far as your problem with the buckets leaking, I've seen some people, depending on how many hives you got, how many locations, having to go out there every day to redo everything. In the evening times, they would take them buckets, flip them over the other way to where they're not feeding at night, because you'll have that temperature fluctuation. Then the next morning, go back out there and flip them over again. The temperature is kind of regulated.
I've never really had that big of a problem, to be honest with you, with the the temperature between day and night up here.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Well, it could just be that time of the year right now, right? Because the
extreme temperature fluctuation,
70 down to 29, 34, something like that. And
Yeah,
it absolutely makes sense, right?
Now, we got up to about 78 today, but our low tonight is going to be 65.
And
so when you're feeding in the fall, James, and getting them ready for the shed, do you feed them to the point where they just won't take any more?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
me and Brad were talking about that, and
I'm not sure what Brad does.
Well, he was talking about actually going into those hives and digging in there and seeing how much fluid is in the hive, and
I do tip the box back, and I try to evaluate the weight of the box as well. I don't have a scale. I'd love to have a scale. I don't have one. So I pretty much, feed them until they won't take any more, and I tip the box back to make sure they're good and heavy. That's how I knew that those couple of those nukes were really, really light.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do too, is I feed with the top high feeders, and I get to the point, I just feed them until they won't take anymore.
Yeah.
And you'll have one hive that's
sorry, that's
there he is.
They'll take.
Evening, Brad.
Well, they'll stop taking it, and then the one next door might be taking it, and I'll just take the one feeder off, and maybe let's say it has some fluid in it. I'll either pour it in the other thing or to actually just switch feeders and stuff like that.
Right.
I find that to be the best for me as far as getting through into spring, and like you say, around March.
Yeah.
And that's when things start to open up here. And because then we had a Zoom meeting tonight with this local club, and different ones were like putting sugar bricks in and all that stuff. And it's like, they were, why are they taking the sugar brick over not taking the stored honey or sugar water honey? And I'm like, well, they like their dessert first, and they'll eat that before they'll eat the stuff in the frames. Because I had that problem last year with candy boards. I tried candy boards for the first time. They ate the candy boards for sure, but they didn't. They left most of the honey or sugar water honey that they had stored
in there.
And then I wound up storing supers of sugar water honey in the freezer in the summertime. So I said, forget that.
I do try to stop, and I do try to pull the pails off of them to give them, about 2 weeks if I can, 2 weeks for them to cure whatever's left in there. So we pretty much always guaranteed to have snow on the ground, and the weather goes sideways really bad up here right around Halloween. So, a couple of weeks before, I'll try to make sure that I've already got them plugged out as best I can, and I'll pull the pails.
Yeah, you guys you get snow so early.
You see, Brad was throwing shade in the comments. We're gonna have to change his name when he comes in. You're Brad, that smart ass B man.
You betcha. It'll keep you on your toes.
I would say put that smart B man.
Yeah, heck yeah. I'm learning a lot from you guys. So we'll see how it plays out, and then I'll send James. I'll send James a bill for all the colonies he cost me. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Zero liability, man.
I was gonna say that's why there's always, whatever you do to your bees is up to you, man. You can just keep asking me if I was in that situation, what would I do? And that's really all I can tell you, right? Because I don't know what your weather's like. I've never had to deal with hive beetles, so there's a bunch of those things, and I just plain and simply.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and if I call you and ask your opinion, you would never hear me come back and say, "Oh, you killed my bees."
Oh, I'm pretty opinionated.
But
yeah.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm more of the indecisive guy, right? I mean, just.
Well, I know you
sure
guys
about that, Bob.
Yeah, he's not sure at all about it.
I'm not sure.
He can't figure it out.
Are you sure you're indecisive?
I haven't made the decision if I'm indecisive or not.
I just wondered if you decided that, or if you're just kind of throwing it out there.
I'm still on the fence.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I know you guys give me a hard time because I try, as everybody's probably figured out, I don't just jump into anything. I look at the good, I look at the bad, I try to analyze it. Bob's gonna laugh when I tell him, but I'll crunch the numbers 3 ways to Sunday before I finally decide to do something. And if I do it, I'll plan for the worst and hope for the best, if that makes sense. So,
right.
And for myself, where I'm at, I think that's just good business sense right now as I'm trying to grow my business. Am I being a little bit over conservative? Possibly. Could I grow a little bit more aggressive? Possibly. But I want to make sure that I'm looking at all of this. I want to make sure that I'm assessing it. And I want to make sure that I'm not making a bad business decision, because at the end of the day, this is a business for me.
Right. You see,
Bob said you always crunch the numbers, but I mean, it takes you a while because you do it first the Canadian way and then you try it the U.S. way. I mean, the numbers get mixed up.
And now last week you guys had me in the UK, so now I got to figure out the euro.
You see that? What Brian said, Bob's certainly uncertain. At least he's pretty sure he is.
He thinks he is.
That's it. Well, the thing is, James and I are not dissimilar on the way as far as like crunching numbers. My problem is I'll start going down that rabbit hole, but then I'll get this outlier. Well, what about this? And then I go down that rabbit hole. And then I call James and, hey, what about this? And he's like, maybe. And then he gives me 50 more things that are like, well, have you considered this, and this? Damn it. Now I got to think about all those things, right? And at the end of the day, I still haven't made a decision on it, right? So then it's like, well, still considering stuff. So
and that's just the way I am. I look at, like I said, I try to look at everything,
that's why, like, even chats like these, or a mentor, somebody like that, you may have your plan already picked out, but if you pass it by somebody, there may be that thing that you didn't think of that James is like, hey, so everybody call James tomorrow and ask him a question.
This guy right down here, he's my sounding board. I'll yeah, I'll say, what do you think about this, Brad? And ironically enough, he's been through it. What did we figure? You're probably 5 years ahead of me, Brad. 4 years ahead of me. Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're
Brad.
muted, Brad.
Brad, you're muted.
Or
There you go.
somebody in there, somewhere in there. My year that you just had, no drawn comb and chasing swarms all summer, happened to me in 2017. So
yeah, so
so that's 4 years, I guess.
Exactly, and that really
No,
came to light maybe with me when you did Charlie's chat, because I was watching Brad's presentation, and I've said it 5 or 6 times on here. I was absolutely dumbfounded, the similarities, from what Brad was going through to what I'm going through, and it's great. I just got to get Brad to send me his diary so I know, what to do
what's
and
coming up next year,
and exactly, and know what not to do, right?
Well, it's that curve, right? And you've got a little different situation because you've kept bees. I think you've kept bees longer than I have, but as a hobby. So
right.
So the curve might be a little different for you, but it's kind of like the curve goes up, and about year 3, you know everything, and then year 4, disaster strikes,
Yeah.
and you completely get your butt handed to you, and then year 4, year 5, you begin rebuilding with a great bit of humility. And that's exactly what happened to me.
Well, see, I'm going into year 4, so I'm trying to skip year 4 with all of you guys' knowledge. Go straight.
Would that be that curve right here you're talking about?
That's exactly
The
Dunning-Kruger
peak
effect.
amount of stupid. I must be just about there.
Yeah, as soon as you think you got it all figured out, the bottom falls out, and then you slowly start learning.
That's right. So the peak of Mount Stupid is year 3, generally in beekeeping. But Randy has that on his site. He puts that on there and equates it to beekeeping.
There you go.
But I think the biggest thing I find with like James is he knows his direction. You know where you're going with it. You know what you want accomplished, and you have the direction. How you get there, as far as technique, that's the variable.
Well, technique, business plan, and I mean, I think we've all ran into this one is the financial situation as well, right? I seem to remember you did I think I was watching one of Brad's videos, actually long before I met Brad. And I think you put a presentation onto the what is it? It's the Red River Society, I think, Brad.
Yeah, the Red River Apiarists. Yeah.
So and I remember one of the quotes in there, because somebody I think asked him, you know what, if you go back and do it all over again, and I think if I remember right, it was something like I would start with about $100,000 more. I would find a mentor, and I think there was a few other things, but that's really it's hitting home for me right now. I mean, there's lots that would springboard me forward. I just have to, like I said, because I am approaching, retirement from my day job, so I don't want to put myself in a financial burden that way. But at the same token, there's some things that are going to springboard me forward, and I just have to make sure I do the right ones at the right time.
That's part of what's kind of led to my indecisiveness, and we talked about this today, is that I've got a finite amount of money, but I've got several things that I need to do, and which direction do I want to spend that money? to best serve what I'm trying to do. And that's kind of my dilemma right now.
Yeah. Well, I think I know which way I'm going to go. I mean, talking with Bob, talking with Ian, talking with a lot of these people, talking with Brad, people on here. Everybody has told me the same thing. The only person that's got to get it through his head is this guy, right? So, it's really kind of the key. So, there's no secret. I look at watch a lot of YouTube videos. I talk to people in the business to understand, what, where, when, and why. One of Ian's last videos that he put up here, I think he put it up actually just last week. He had mentioned, well, you're giving away all the secrets. Well, but the secret isn't that. The secret is being able to run a business, and I do have a business degree. So that's part of maybe what makes me analyze everything so much, is to make sure that I'm crossing off all those check boxes that the professor at the front of the class sat up there and says, well, don't forget this, don't forget that. You have to think of this. And I think that's what's made me successful till, in beekeeping and in life till today. And I just want to make sure that I keep that going.
Buy more bottling equipment. I got enough right now.
Yeah, but I mean, when you say all that, James, and you have your business plan, as you call it, I guess I presume your business plan is your expectations of what you're going to do if all these other things come into play. I don't know. It's like you have 15 hives, you're going to generate so much, you're going to try to, you actually went twice as many splits that you normally did.
Right.
And then the honey flow, or what you get back in return as far as honey out of this, from 15 to 78 hives, that's going to increase, if long as the weather and, farming part of it
Correct.
turns out good for you.
But when I say I've got a business plan, I literally have a formal, on paper, written down business plan, expectations, goals, you name it. All 8 sections of the business plan have been filled out. I literally have a
so I don't know what
business plan.
I'm going to jump in here, and I think that's admirable. I absolutely think that's admirable. But I think there's a really big difference between that and your plan for your apiary, right? Your business plan kind of guides that, and it says, okay, this is what I expect of myself. This is what I expect of my business and my bees, and my business plan says that I can spend this much on equipment and this much on this and this much on that, and I can't spend all of this, although I'd like to. So that kind of sets the stage for that kind of thing. But that
to an
none of
extent,
that
yes.
really has a lot to do with what you're doing in the apiary. You gotta have a plan to manage those bees in such a way that you can then fulfill whatever that business plan states.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to link together now, right? Like they are
right,
definitely disconnected
and
right now.
Has to do with management. That has to do with, when I first few years when I started, I bought, actually it was only 2 years, I bought a substantial number of mated queens for my operation. Well, I'm going to grow my operation. I'm going to make some splits and grow and buy mated queens and grow this operation. That worked pretty good. But that kind of a plan. So a person might have the kind of plan to say, I'm going to keep my apiary modest until I get really good at raising my own queens. And then when I can raise 50 queens or 100 queens in a season, then I'm going to use that skill and that ability to then grow my apiary in that method, and that's fine. It might take you 2 or 3 years to get those skills, but you're not going to be spending a few $1,000s on mated queens.
So
you spend a few $1,000s on mated queens, and you can maybe get 2 or 3 years head start on that idea, but you still don't have the skill to raise your own queens. So it may be, depending on how you want to manage, it maybe is not then a really a sustainable method that you want to have, because you want to raise your own queens so that you can bring that in house, kind of doing what Ian's doing, bringing it in house, cutting those costs, bringing that expertise right into the apiary. So all of those kind of things. Like, how are you going to grow? Are you going to, I mean, right now, what kind of equipment, right? And I'm a big fan of when you're trying to manage something like that, what James is doing and what I'm doing. We're really doing the same thing. Um, to manage in a way that's bigger than what you are. Uh, Somebody told me years ago, always hang around with people who are who you want to be, right? Always hang around people who are smarter than yourself. Always hang around people who are better at what they do than you are, because you can go nowhere but up. You can do nothing but improve, and that kind of thing. Uh, it holds true with always run your apiary like it's bigger than it is. I was running 50 colonies and I was running two-way pallets, you know. Well, I didn't quite have an easy loader. I had a little tractor, but that was different. I didn't buy that for the bees. I had that before I had the bees. So anyway, and I put 60, I don't know, I think it was 63 colonies in my newly put together wintering building that first winter. That's not that many colonies, but um, I was running it like I had 300, right? And at the beginning, I was telling myself, at the beginning, I was telling myself that no, I don't have 20 colonies. No, I don't have 50 colonies. I'm telling myself I have 300 colonies or I have 500 colonies. So I had to then force myself to say, you guys are talking about feeding earlier. Say, we'll go at the end of the day and flip the bucket over. We'll come back in the morning and flip the bucket over. Oh my goodness.
Times
Um,
300. Oh,
I yeah, I had to, and 6 yards, right? I had to force myself to say, I could just muscle through this job, but that's not using my head. Like, using my head means that I have to figure out a way that if I wasn't doing this 50 times, but I was doing this 500 times, I
it
have to
would just
figure out how I can do this 500 times without taking too long or killing myself.
it would
And
eat
then
it. Yep.
the fact that I've only got to do it 50 times is absolute cakewalk. So to me, that kind of thinking is key. Always, always kind of pretend like you're way bigger, you have way more work to do than you have, because that's going to force you to
So
adopt very efficient
yeah.
business or management practices.
Well, you see, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. So you're absolutely right, Brad. My business plan guides what my financial, what do you want to call it, gains net worth is. My Hive management plan is kind of exactly what you just talked about. What I do to get them, and they're about like this right now. And I've got to merge the two together, and that's the part. I'm going to say that's my big goal for this year is to merge my Hive management and um, my actual work with my business plan, my financial business plan, and that's going to be a tough one.
I want to throw something else out to you. Um, I love watching business. I learned quite a bit about business in some courses we took where I was working, and I think it's really interesting to watch corporations, how they grow and how they fail. And I've noticed that that any business, any company, or any corporation that is truly passionate about what they do, you watch Starbucks be born and grow like no other company, because like, how did they do that, and why did that was that allowed to happen? It was allowed to happen because of passion, not because the bean counters allowed it to happen.
Oh,
Any
that's
company,
yeah.
any company that it's at one point along their journey put the bean counters in charge of the decisions on how that company is going to run, that company will guaranteed fail
I
before
agree.
long because there's zero passion left.
But you see,
There was a
that's
large American car manufacturer who that happened to them. The bean counters got in charge of that company, and that company was dead within a couple of years.
right. But you see,
And
that's the good
because
point of what.
bean counters aren't passionate about building cars.
Right.
And if you're not passionate about building cars, you will never run a successful business that builds cars,
But you see,
right?
that's where we're a little bit different, or I shouldn't say we. I'm going to talk for myself. That's where I'm a little bit different.
I'm
I
less
have.
disciplined that way
I was going
than
to say,
you are.
I have a business plan, but I also can adjust my business plan, right? So my business plan when I started January 1st last year looks very, very different than what my business plan January 1st this year is, right?
Yeah, because your
Check and
passion,
adjust.
your passion keeps that in check. It keeps those two things in balance, and that's good that you do both those jobs because if there's only a bean counter in charge of making this beekeeping business work, it'll never work.
No,
It's
no.
the passion for the bees that makes it work.
Well, and here's a perfect example of that. So if you go back and you take a look at my video that I posted January of last year, I says, okay, here's my goals. So I gave myself a budget, I gave myself some goals, and I far exceeded those goals, right? Did I have to, and if you followed along, did I have to invest some money? Absolutely, I did. Was that in the original budget? It absolutely wasn't. Did I make that back? I absolutely did. So you can, it's good to have that set up. It's good to have that as a check and a balance. But it's also good to make sure that you readjust that. And that's what I basically did this year. So Bob had mentioned earlier, my goal last year was to go into the bee barn with 25 hives. Far exceeded it. In order to exceed it, yeah, I had to build woodware, I had to build frames, I had to invest in that. But I'm
And
at
that's
the
what I
end
was
of
just
year
going to
two.
say. And that works on both sides. You
Mhm.
adjust the business plan as you go, and it works on the other side too. So you make the plan for the apiary, you make your plan for your management and your growth and all that kind of stuff. And then you start stepping through that, and then you keep making adjustments along the way and saying, okay, the weather is crap this year, so this is what we do,
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
right? Like I had to make a lot of adjustments this year, and I didn't get the growth I wanted. The weather was crap, and for some reason my queen rearing sucked, and I still don't really understand that. But I could
I,
I
I,
I could do
I,
no wrong in 2021, 2022. I couldn't raise a queen to save my life.
yeah.
Don't know
Well,
why.
there's a question. So like these guys asked me earlier, what am I hoping to come out of the barn with? Where am I hoping to go in 2023?
Bees.
I won't know until I get the bees out of the barn, right?
That's right.
But
Well, the
can
bottom
I give
line
them
is 100% is what you really hope for. You got
Sure.
99.
You
You got one dead or two dead right now. So I mean, you're
I
hoping to
got-
get the rest of them out.
I got 2 dead nukes, so that I know, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not
and you knew
surprised.
they were weak to begin with, or whatever.
Right, but I allowed for 30% loss. Now I'm really hoping I'm nowhere close to 30% loss. I keep throwing that out there, but that just goes to show you. So, if I come out with anything above 30% loss, I'm adjusting my goals again, right? If I come out with 50% loss, well, I'm adjusting my goals again, right? But it's good to have I always try to have a plan. I always try to know where I'm going, what the direction I'm going in, and I'll adjust that. I might have to adjust it 5, 10, 15 times over a season, right? But that's the good part about being the owner and the beekeeper in this case. You can do that.
Yeah, your board
Tim
meetings are
from
pretty short
Southwest.
when
Go
that
ahead,
happens. Sorry, Charlie.
That's all
Yeah.
right. I wanted Tim from Southwest Ohio. he stated here back a few minutes back, you need a decent sized apiary to make queen rearing worthwhile. And I'm like, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, you can take a nuke box, you can graft 20, 30 queens. You know, let's say you graft 30 and you get 25 out. You might have to buy some or make some 2-frame mating boxes like I do, or 3-frame, whatever you want to use, and get your bees mated. But you can sell them queens and make some extra money. You can use your queens.
And I think you just touched on it, Charlie, and that's what my mentor told me when I started. He said, grow into your equipment. And I thought, what in the world are you talking about growing your equipment? I don't want equipment, I want bees, right? And he said, grow into your equipment. He said, the size of your apiary will be defined by how much equipment you have. And he just said boxes. How many boxes do you have, kind of thing. And he was absolutely right. And that's kind of what you were just saying, Charlie. Like, what's the real defining part of what you just said? Equipment. Get that nuke box. Get those, a few nuke boxes and start making queens. You need some mating nukes. You need some cell builders. Okay, so you need equipment. You need equipment to do this. The bees will come. You can do the bees. It's kind of how hard you want to work to do the bees. It's the equipment. And if you discount your equipment, you'll struggle and you'll just won't prosper, I think.
Yeah.
So I was grafting bees when I had four hives. I was grafting my own queens with 4 hives. At that I had enough bees that I could steal from the 4 to make a nice strong. And I went with a starter finisher when I first started. Right, I robbed from those four hives. I made a nice strong starter finisher, and I was grafting from that. So I would say that's about the only limitation is what you have to create that starter finisher. Really is. I mean, I don't know what's everybody else's thoughts, but I found it worked quite well for me at 4 hives.
Yeah, as long as you can make that nuke. I mean, I still use just a cell starter, and you kind of you find that one. I guess. Well, let's see. You got your 10-frame production hives, for honey, and then I always have nukes too, and when I started, Michael Palmer was saying, get nukes for self-sustainability. And I bought into that. So I have always had some 10 framers, and then I started getting the nukes. And then, I, made my queens, or maybe bought some queens and put them in the nukes and stuff. And then learned how to graft. And, I think it's harder to learn how to figure out how to put a cell starter together first over the grafting part. 5 minutes I was grafting. I said, is this all there is to it?
Yes.
Kent said, yeah.
But Tim does have a point in the comments here. It's all about priorities. And it depends what everybody's time frame is. It depends what everybody's priority is. It depends, I guess. The other thing, it depends what you have for resources. I've got nowhere around here. The closest place I could get queens if I didn't ship them in is Edmonton. It's a 4.5-hour drive. So I mean, grafting
you're out in the
really is key, right? So
yeah, it is. I mean, now I have queens available to me and stuff like that, and I had bought queens, but I mean, I kept every time you turn around, it's like, well, first they were $25, and now they're $35, and now they're $40 for a queen, if you buy them retail. And I mean, you buy 10 queens, there you just drop $300 or more. Today you're dropping $400. And I don't know. I guess queen rearing was my last thing that I started with. I started out with the honey hives, and then I started out making nukes. And then my goal was I wanted to make 1,000 pounds of honey, and something I figured out would get me through from one season to the next without having to buy honey from anybody else in my club. And I've achieved that. And then I have my nukes as my insurance policies for queens dying out on my production hives. And then I also wanted to sell 20 nukes a year and for another additional income. And I have accomplished that. And then in the last 3 years or more, it's been 3 years, I learned how to graft, and I find that to be exciting and fun and self-gratifying. And it's the most.
I find when you graft, I can't wait to get in there to see how many you've taken. Right.
Well, to me, I look at it as a game between you and the bees. You graft, you put your cell in your cell builder. It's like I gotta wait for 3 days. I don't want to really. I should not do that, but I can't stand to wait 6 days.
It's like Christmas. Every day you open up that.
Yeah, but you open that thing up real gentle, like just to be able to peep in, and kind of blow on them with your mouth a little bit just to see. You can see whether they've got the cocoon coming down. And it's like, okay, if you got 80 or 90%, you won. If it's 50% or less, the bees won.
But all of that does go back to, again, with what Tim said and everything, based on what your goals are. And if you haven't defined what your goals are, then it makes it hard to do any of it, right?
Actually, I think what we're all talking about is the same thing. So my company that I work for just finished putting me through a 2-day leadership course. And I think what we're talking about isn't so much goals. It's what is your vision? What is your vision of your apiary? What do you vision your apiary to look like next year, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? Your goals build on that vision. And that actually really kind of hit home out of the course that they put me through. And it's amazing when you actually try to vision what you want your apiary to look like. And I mean, actually visual it right down to, what do you want your hives to look like, and how many bees are flying in and out of those boxes. And yeah, it's really, that's what we're talking about. The business plan, well, that's going to give you the financial to get there. The goals and everything is going to take you to what you vision you want your business and your beekeeping, to look like. That's really, I think, what we're all talking about. So on another note, has everybody here noticed, is your honey sales picking up? I'm finding my honey sales is going through the roof.
Mine did right before Christmas.
Now, that's since you put that little stand up the other day that you were building?
That has absolutely helped. In fact, it took me, I want to say 3 or 4 goes to take that picture, because I'd put honey on the shelf and it was gone. I'd put honey on the shelf and it was gone. It took me like 3 or 4 different pictures before I could finally get one with that shelf full of honey. But yeah, I just wondering what everybody else is. That this is really kind of the first year I've really been selling a lot of honey, and it just seems to have really picked up here. I'm going to say in the last 4 weeks.
Now, mine just picked back up last weekend, because the month of January, we usually shut down our farmers market here because a little bit cooler weather. A lot of people kind of overspent for Christmas, don't have as much to go out and just kind of shop on weekends. So we started back last weekend, and I think just Saturday, 5-hour period, I sold right at 3 cases. Just sitting there kind of shooting the bull with everybody.
Nice. Yeah, that new stand is actually working out very, very well. So, I think that's gonna work out well. So, I guess I have to go down and restock it and fill it all up here right away. So, that's pretty good considering that.
I would say that's considered marketing.
Yeah, well, could be. Could be.
Well, what I'm saying is it proves the fact that, like Bob Benny's told you, that the stand looking like a hive attracted the people to your shelf instead of the common shelf in the grocery store or wherever it is located at. and they're like, "Oh, let's get this because I like the packaging, or I like the
very well
stand,
be, yeah.
basically where it's sitting at." As far as here,
merchandising is
yeah.
the term they use in retail, merchandising. Yeah.
And now for me, I mean, the sales are okay. Nothing great here lately. Christmas was good, but you know, that kind of thing.
I've actually had the best January yet. Was quite pleased how January went. It was actually a fairly average month for my year, and you know, I'll get a call, at least a call every day, it seems, for a pretty good honey order.
Perfect.
I just got a honey order 2 days ago for like $800 order. That was great.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, now I'll be kicking myself that I didn't build a bigger warming cabinet.
Well, I think I'm on version 2 or 3.
So well, in all honesty, Brad, you did say build it big enough, and I just kind of built it to what I had for plywood around. So once again, I should have listened.
You've seen mine. I built it out of garbage plywood. It looks terrible, but it works great.
The apiary up the road from me, their honey warmer is basically a big plywood cabinet that can hold 2 55-gallon drums at a time.
Yep.
I've just got one it's an old refrigerator freezer that I got from the cafe down the road. Actually, no, that one wasn't the refrigerator freezer. It's the full size upright freezer that
That's
I turned
what I
into a honey warmer.
Yeah.
Just put a heat lamp in there on a thermosensor, and it kicks on and off within about a 4-degree range where I want it.
That's what I got.
There's somebody selling
171.902.
a whole line in Ontario for 25,000 US. A cow and wax spinner, both a 30 and a 20 frame, 30 frame Maxent, 20 frame Dadan extractor, a Maxent auger, a 3,000 gallon settling tank, 3 1,000 gallon barrel pouring tanks, 2 300 gallon Dadan honey warm pouring packing unit or tanks, and a Cowan Silver Queen uncapper, and a 2x8x10 sump tank for 25,000.
Can you forward that to me, Bob?
Sounds like a bargain.
On Facebook.
Oh, well, forward it to me. Leah, my wife can get in on Facebook. I can't.
And
are those horizontal extractors?
It doesn't sound like they're horizontal. It sounds like they're vertical extractors.
Yeah, they are vertical.
Sounds like radials to me.
Yeah.
That's
and
not what you want.
Let me see. He's also selling 200.
Anywhere on that Cowan, Jay?
Yeah, when I did get a hold of them, there's issues with the knife, and it got a burnt out motor for the decapper, and I guess it's been sitting for a little while, so I passed up on that one. The last thing I want is to get something that I'm going to have to spend a pile of time and money fixing.
Now, if I can find
motor's pretty easy, but if you don't know what's wrong with the knives, you know.
Well, and time is of the essence for me, right? I mean, you guys heard what I'm working on here right now. I've got a full load. In fact, my wife was giving me a hard time, and about coming on here tonight. It's like, you got a lot to do.
Not another live, huh?
So,
well, a brand new Cowan 28 is that? I think I was on their website, and it was like 50,000. I think it is. By the time you add all the little extras to it, it was like 19 for the machine, and then you added this and this and this and this, all these different things. It's like 49 or 50.
They're both the same. So you really just have to figure out. Like I said, I'm kind of leaning towards possibly not the line this year. I'm leaning towards maybe a tank and stuff like that. So I'm waiting to hear back from a guy just outside of Winnipeg here right now. So we'll find out on that one too.
I just sent you the link, but you might have to be in the group. It's called buy/sell beekeeping equipment. Serious buyers, no unserious buyers, just serious buyers. So, guy's name's Hugh Simpson.
Okay.
Osprey Bluffs Honey Co.
There you go.
Grey Highlands, Ontario. So that's the thing. I always look at used equipment, stuff I can't afford. Dream big, right?
Well, I dream big too, but I have a tendency to take a look at my wax dipping tank is a prime example right now. So went and talked to an old school buddy, and he's going to weld it all up there for me. Just gotta kind of wait for that, but it's just you can't do it all. You got to delegate it, and you have to set your priorities. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's what I'm doing here right now. So my next big project is going to be building some pallets and stuff like that. So I secured the list and the boards and the plywood and stuff like that today. So I know what I got to go pick up, and that's going to be the next one. So when after that, if I look at priorities, it'll probably be get the dipping tank done. I have a little bit of time before I'm going to need the extractor and stuff. So I'm setting the priorities, and that's the way I'm going. So like I say, got the boxes, I'll get the pallets, I'll get the dipping tank. I can build the frames as I go. I'm not going to need the frames for, probably a week, maybe 2 after I get the bees out of the barn. So that gives me time to get some of that stuff done. So
I got a question I want to ask, kind of changing the subject. Any of you guys use the portable hive lifters?
Yeah.
James got that.
James.
He's got
so does Brad. Brad's got one.
Brad's
got one too.
Can of worms.
Yeah, I was going to say Charlie was just waiting for somebody to ask that question.
Charlie been wanting one.
Me too.
Well, sure.
It's a darn shame Boris won't come to Hive because I would really like.
Well, you just what we're not going to get through this conversation without Charlie reminding me that I owe him a video. I'll just throw it out there before he does.
Well, Charlie couldn't bring it up because he would have got trolled heavily. So glad you brought it up, Joey.
So yeah, I've got the one from Boris there. From what is Boris's web page?
Bee Breeding Center.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
Yeah.
He's got the one that looks like a front end loader, and then Brad's got the other style. Look at the dolly type.
Yeah, I was looking at the dolly one. I think I would rather have it.
The B1.
Yeah.
It's really, kind of his original unit.
Yeah, he upgraded that one.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, I can tell you a little bit about it, I guess. I can tell you what I told Charlie about it. It's fairly good size unit, and it weighs a bit, so it's very robust. It's very well built. The geometry on it is really nice. You can lift a fairly good weight, and it will stand by itself with that weight suspended. Now it's just kind of a hand truck thing, so it's not going to be, you're not going to be jumping up and down on the boxes. It's going to fall down, but it'll sit there by itself. Handy when you're setting escapes, for example. That's what I use it for a lot. Lift up the supers, and then it might sit by itself while I put the escape in. It will lift way more weight than you want to, because it's just very strong as far as what it'll lift. Now, kind of the downsides, it runs a long time on the charge on the battery. It'll run all day. A little solar panel on it that helps charge the battery too. Downsides, it's not really easy to control. I can't believe Boris would ever use it, because Boris is not a big man.
No, he is not.
And I'm yeah, and I'm a good sized person. I'm 6'4" and not a beanpole either. And if I get more than a box or two on that thing, it really keeps me going to keep it under control. And I don't have a lot of steep slopes or anything like that in my yards. Um, Fairly even ground and everything. So it's definitely something that you need to put your back into when you get some weight on it.
Now, which
But
one
it
do
is
you have?
capable. I have
Which
the
one do you
B1.
have?
It's
The
the two
B1?
wheel B1. It's got
Okay.
it's like a hand truck. So James has you have the straight electric one, James?
Electric over hydraulic.
Okay, that's the
So
B3, isn't it?
correct. Yep. Yep. So same thing. My battery. In fact, I never plugged it in all season. I just kind of left to make sure it was sitting out in the sun with a solar panel to the south, and that solar panel kept it charged up all winter long. Some of the pros, I think you can easily lift more than what you should with the one I have. It'll pick up 4 honey supers like nothing. Pick them up, put them on the back of your truck, and away you go. It's balanced nicely. You're standing a little bit further back from the hives, but it is balanced very, very nicely. You know, you don't need a whole pile of weight to muscle it around. Um, it will sit up there. Now, it has the arms on the back, and when you pick up the 4, let's say you're picking up 4 supers to, like Brad was saying, to set a bee escape. When you set the back down, it does have a tendency to tip the hives a little bit. So you just kind of have to be aware of that. What else did I have to do? I widened the wheels on it. So because I use the pallet forks on it, with the pallet forks and a pallet on it, I have a hard time setting the pallet right to the ground, because what happens is the pallet and or the forks touch the tires. So you have to be a little bit cautious of that. If I'm picking up honey supers, I can't set the honey supers right down on the ground, but it's not something that you would normally do anyways. I usually drop another box and I'll set them on top of that box. What else can I tell you? It's light. Mine's made all out of aluminum. I have no problem picking up the whole unit and throwing it in the back of my truck. Easy peasy. Doesn't bother at all. Now, I did talk to Nate with Duck River Honey when I was down at Hive Life. So he's ran into a few problems. So some of the problems he had were the wires, they're all knife connectors, and some of his wires were falling off of his voltmeter and stuff. I have had that problem. He doesn't have the solar panel on his, and one of the things that he really kind of thought would be an asset was a battery disconnect. So I don't have that.
Didn't he have a problem where something got jammed and it was constantly on and he couldn't get it turned off without cutting the wire?
So that was his switch. So he had an issue with his switch. So the switch is it's the same thing you would find on a quad winch. So I've never had issues with that at all. It could be just a faulty switch. Like I say, I haven't had any of those. I haven't had any of those issues. My voltmeter, it didn't work at once, and then when I got a hold of Boris, what we found out was the knife connector came off the back. So I've taken all those and I've just crimped the knife connectors a little bit. So I've never had a problem since. But
so Joe, unlike James, I actually have a video on my channel about my lifter.
Ow!
About it.
That hurt.
You do, Brad? I mean, I've seen you use it. I've seen you use it,
yeah.
but did you actually have a pros and con video on it?
Yeah, I do a bit of a review on it, a bit of a walk around on the thing. Couple of years ago, I think. So you might have to go back. But I think if you search for Backsaver, you might find it.
Okay.
I call it a Backsaver 6100.
That seems about how long Charlie's been asking about it. About 2
I
years.
typed in Backsaver. It says honey harvesting methods to B-Man, and it looks like
that's
you're using the Hive lifter.
I will get Charlie's out. I need a couple more. I'm not happy with a couple of the descriptions. So I just need to get it out of the bee barn, and I need to refilm a couple of them before I want to throw it up
you
there,
need to
so.
get out when the weather's decent, so you can show lifting and all that kind of stuff with a.
Well, I've got most of that. It's just one of the things that I didn't video and show where the forks hit the tires. I didn't show how I extended the tires out. So just like I say, I want to make sure that it's an honest video. Now, I'll tell you, Joe, the same thing I told Charlie. If it came down to it, and if I had to do it all over again, would I buy one? In a heartbeat. That's about the only thing I can say. Like that thing, I broke my back in 2000, and that thing is absolutely a back saver for me. I couldn't imagine doing it without it.
I just dropped Brad's video in the comments there for you, Charlie.
Thanks,
Okay,
buddy.
I got it.
Yeah, see, reason I'm looking at them, I have rheumatoid. I've had to deal with rheumatoid for about 20 years now. And I can pick a pretty heavy box up, but I don't need to be doing it all the time. And that's one reason. And the other reason I'm looking at it, I've got several yards, and I would like to, if I got one smaller hive here, and then all the rest of them are all double deeps, but this one's not ready to do double deeps yet. Move it to another yard, and keep my yards equalized a little better.
You'll see.
I got video right here.
I was going to say I did do a video on it, but this year for the honey harvest, you'll be able to watch me pick up. I think I pick up 4 honey supers and drop them on the back of my truck and grab another 4 and do it again. Like it goes really slick, you know.
But now remember, your honey supers are 4 deeps.
Correct.
You know, okay. You know, which is, I mean, what are you doing, Joseph? Deeps or mediums?
I've pretty much went toward deeps on everything. I still got a few old mediums left, but I go all deeps. But I don't stack more than one deep honey super. If I got an extra medium, I might put that on top. But normally I go through pulling anything capped. When I get several hives that's got some capped honey, I go through all of them and pull enough to spin out and put the frames back in the boxes. Let them refill them again. I do that during.
Yeah, that technique is one of the things that I'm going to start doing this year. Is instead of having me skyscrapers of mediums, over my head, literally, I'm going to do exactly the same thing and extract through the honey season.
I don't know how I would do. I don't know how much time that would take me to go through all my hives to go through and assess and pull capped honey, one frame at a time. I think that would absolutely eat my lunch.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that when I kind of run low on honey and I need to do an early extraction, and so I'm in there about the 5th or the 10th of August trying to cherry pick frames. Oh my God, it's awful. It takes you do 1 yard, it takes you all day, and all you get is like 4 or 5 boxes of honey. It's terrible. But I was going to say that
keep you pretty busy. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, like I run 32 in a yard, so I'll go over there and just spend all afternoon cherry picking frames. It's terrible.
You probably remember hearing Mike Berry and Jeff talk about Mr. Julian Lane. He used to be the guy that was over the club that we always went to. He always kept like 200 hives, and that's what he did. He'd go through every one of them, and he knew. I can't remember how big his extractor was. Maybe 60 frames or something like that.
Wow.
He'd go through his yards, and when he'd get 60 frames, he'd go to the house, and he'd spin them out. And the next day, he'd go drop them back in. Then the next day, he'd go pull another 60. Mm-hmm. He never picked up boxes.
Yeah, I always kind of chuckle when, somebody's talking about, and I have no problem with people using alternative equipment, but they want to cite, use a horizontal hive, then you don't have to lift boxes. I don't have to lift boxes if I can do it that way. I can take frames out of my boxes, and it's really the same thing. So there's a lot of redeeming features of a horizontal hive, but but being forced to lift boxes really isn't one of them, because if I don't want to lift boxes, I don't lift boxes.
Yeah.
I'll lift frames.
The way I would look at it as far as the horizontal, I mean, as far as pulling frames out, it would depend on how many frames you're pulling. If you got 2 or 3 horizontal hives there and you're taking a couple out of each one, and eventually you got 10 frames in your hand, are you going to carry all those 10 frames individual back to your honey house? Or are you going to throw them in a box and carry them? Or how
You're going to throw in a box and then you're left in a box.
Yeah.
So it's really the same thing, isn't it?
That's the way I look at it. You can throw it in a
Yeah.
box and carry it.
What I do, usually when honey comes along, I got a bunch of empty nuke boxes, and I never put a deep frame of honey in a 10 frame box. I always put them in my nuke boxes. I can carry 5 full frames. I ain't gonna try to carry 10.
That's
smart. Then. That's smart. I might have to start running my 4s in honey flow once they start slowing down a bit.
I tell you, it helps.
Because
So
my 10's just fine.
All right, you're doing, Brad and James, you're doing 2 deeps, let's say, on top of your hives for honey. Are you under supering, or you just stack that next one that's empty on top and then walk away?
On top.
That's what I do too. Just throw it on top.
I did that one year, Charlie. I actually, I don't know who it was, but there was a guy who was telling me a story about him doing a test on that, and he said, it did produce more honey. And I thought, oh, good, I'm going to do that. I think it was about 3 years ago, and so I did that. And besides the obvious, it's more work. I absolutely hated it because I would go out to my bee yard, open the lid to see if maybe I should add supers. Well, the top super was always very full. So now what am I doing? Now I'm pulling that box off. Now I'm tipping it up. Now I can't see. So that's the real reason I stopped doing that. Because I can't just open that top box and say, oh, they got space or they're running out of space or whatever, right? The top box is always full.
Yeah. See, I've had a habit since I started, though. I've always under supered. I'd pull my box off, put another one on, and then throw the other back on top. Yeah. Like I said, my number 1 hive last year, I had 5 medium super stacked on it at one time. So I had to remove 4 of them just to put that 5th one on and then stack the other 4 back up again.
Yeah, that's a ton of work.
It's a lot more work.
You need a back saver.
I just found, like you said, I think they do produce a little more because they fill one box up. And when you put an empty one there, they start on that versus having to go through that full one, then to an empty one.
Yeah.
But it is more work.
Well, and the guy that told this story, he said he did it. He took a yard and he did half of them on top and half of them on the bottom. And he said all of the hives that he did on the bottom produced more honey. It was pretty consistent. So I thought, well, made a believer out of me. And so I tried it out. And just that whole idea that I couldn't tell. I'd open the lid and it's always right full. So I thought, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, for myself, it's time management. I see that box getting full, drop another one on top, and away I go again. It's I haven't done any of the testing. Really, for me, it's plain and simple time management.
Well, I think that was always my question towards you guys, as the commercial guys, is that the management of how you're managing the hive so you can get through the day with 100, you touched 100 hives or whatever it is you can get done in a day. And if you had to, like you say, pull the bottom box off and switch it over instead of just dropping and putting one on top, it's going to be more efficient that way.
The only other way I would look at that, like if you say you have that hive lifter that Ian got, the easy easy loader.
Yeah.
You're not picking up the box then. You just grab it with that machine, pick it up, and you can see what you got. Throw another box under it if you need it.
Yeah, for sure.
But then you invest in a lot more money into equipment doing that.
I think that would still take me more time.
Yeah.
The easy loader is great, but now you're relocating the truck. And I don't have one, so I'm just assuming here, right?
It would still be time intensive because you're picking up all your top supers and you're going to leave that bottom super on there. You're going to have to pick up, look down in there. If it is full, then you're going to have to set the other ones down, relatch it onto that bottom super, pick it up, and then slide one under it.
See, he kind of does bottom super at certain times if you watch Ian, because in his management, he'll often go and he'll use the easy loader. He'll pick up all of the full supers, and then he'll throw usually 2 empties on top of the queen excluder, and then he'll throw his bee escape on top of those 2 empties, and then set everything on top. So that's essentially bottom supering with the addition of the bee escape. So it's all that much work. Yes,
it gives them room to come back out of those
I was just gonna
supers
say
down into
that-
your bottom two, finish filling them up.
right.
That's genius because you're making room for the bees, right?
Yeah, and because he has the kind of flow he has, he recycles the boxes. So he'll take those boxes off into the honey house. He's got a crew there. They free them up, bring them back out, and he can keep going in the other yards.
Well, guys, it is 11 o'clock, an hour past Lee's bedtime.
Yeah, 3:30 come early.
Yikes.
So,
All right, well, all right. That's good.
yep. So we appreciate all you guys. Thank you for everyone that participated in the chat, super chat, all that stuff, and especially our esteemed guests that came on.
Thank
Joey,
everybody.
don't be a stranger.
Oh, that's like I said, I don't know if Mr. Ed, he's probably in bed, but it was great listening to him here tonight. So
Yeah, it sure was.
Yep.
He's a fun guy.
That's what I was about to say. He's a fun guy to be around.
I don't think
there's never a dull moment around him. He's always got
If you're in
you
a bad mood when you meet him, you're going to be in a good mood when he's gone. When you
I was going to say at the Hive Life, I don't think he ever stopped smiling. Like he's just always happy. So great guy, absolutely great guy.
Yeah. When you get him and Randy together, it just creates a lot of excitement.
Especially when you get them on a fishing boat offshore. Never a dull moment then.
Oh boy!
Just rub salt in that wound.
I had to, Bob. I'm sorry.
They called me to get Lee's number to ask him to go fishing, and I didn't get the invite.
Hey, we had fun. We thought about you.
Yeah, I'm sure for like, oh, I wish Bob was here.
Yeah, it would be like, this is Bob's beer,
right? Pour a little bit
if
out.
you notice, I didn't even break the mead out tonight.
Well, anyway, guys, we're going to call it for tonight. Thank you, and everyone have a good evening, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
So